did my BSc from Lucknow University, then MBBS MD from GSB Medical College, Kanpur. After that, I completed my law graduation LLB from Jammu University, then MBA Hospital Care Administration from FMS Delhi University, postgraduate diploma in Healthcare Operation Quality Management from AHA, postgraduate diploma in Human Rights from Indian Institute of Human Rights. So this is about academic background and teaching. And I am running one very successful group since 2009 by internet, that quality of medical education. You can just put these keywords in any search engine, it will be the first hit in the world community with more than 10,000 members as of today, mostly from doctor, engineer or judges, and they are the members. So we are instrumental in trying to shape the medical education. In some respect we are successful, in some respect we are failure due to that, again, privatization. So with this background, I ask
Hello everyone, I'm Daria from Delhi, and I'm a lawyer basically, and presently I'm working as a legal consultant with Law Commission of India. So after doing my schooling, I've done bachelor's in pharmacy from DU only, and after that I've done law from DU, and then I've been a IPR lawyer for 2 years, and then did my LLM, and now I'm at Law Commission working with the chairman, Dr. V.S. Chandra, Justice V.S. Chandra. So I have been interested in the medical legal field, so this is why I'm
here. I'm Dr. Sandeep Gori. I'm consultant and head of the department of Emergency Medicine, Fortis Hospital, Mumbai. I'm also president for Maharashtra State for Emergency Medicine 2 years. Good morning.
Yes, please, welcome.
Just a small simple request. Since we do not have mics, we did not.
No problem.
So
No, we are already.
Dr. Consultant Emergency Medicine, Apollo Hospitals, Navi Mumbai. Originally from Bombay, I was in England for about 13 years. So I'm trained over there. I returned last year. So I've been in the country for about 12 months. Thank you. Thanks.
I'm a consultant and head of accidents and emergencies in Fortis region, and undergrad postgrad from our hospital, and in my critical care and this thing in Bombay itself. I'm also a student of law in my second year LLB and from New Law College.
I'm Dr. Ravi Pratap. I'm heading the department in Mumbai Hospital, Pune. So I have a little into medical legal. I did my postgraduate diploma in medical law and ethics from just recently. So this is a little bit of intro.
I'm Dr. Samir Rathi. I'm consultant in emergency medicine at Kokilam and Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, Mumbai. I've been practicing emergency medicine for the last 7 years in Mumbai.
I'm Dr. Karan, and I'm working at Apollo Mumbai as junior consultant. Previously I was working at Apollo Hyderabad. So just recently moved here.
So thank you. I think all of you are aware about this topic. Protection of children from sexual offences Act 2012, dilemmas faced by the doctors. So I think you are all in facing problem. So it will be better if first you should come forward what are the problem actually you are facing, and then we will try to give some legitimate answer which are acceptable in its scenario, and then come out to the what are the problem which still needs some clarification or what are the dilemma. So accordingly we frame recommendation and we should pursue so that any proper solution come. So please have your experience. And I think 4 issues which we should concentrate on that. One is which is most primary duty, ethical issue related to emergency care. Then legal, obviously whenever there is a law, there is a, even though there is no law, there is a case law. So whenever any pronouncement on that particular aspect by the Supreme Court or concerned High Court, we should respect that law. And rest from public point of view, social and economic issue, because here I think most of you are concerned with the economic aspect. This when these 2012 amendment, especially after Nirbhaya, a lot of time changes occurred. So from that point of view, most of the, this is my experience, these problems may be centered around these 4 other issues. So please. give me feedback.
So I believe before taking these issues, one prominent issue that I want to frame in here, that are we really practicing emergency medicines in India? Because I feel that this has always been a very referral department, like there's no particular area in every hospital that I see. So
That is changing.
That is changing.
In a strong way.
It's in a really strong way. It is changing. What you are saying, we totally agree with that. It's still the largest chunk of the emergencies which are seen in India are still by non-experienced or rather non-trained emergency doctors. But it is changing, definitely.
What you're saying is partly true for government hospitals, because what has happened is this emergency medicine itself, the branch which developed, it has developed more of in private sector and not in the emergency sector, government sector. So there is a difference. Okay. So yet in most of the government hospitals, even those who have this post-graduation programs in emergency medicine, so they don't have sufficient numbers of the residents. So like if you consider under one guide there will be one student. So they can have 2 or 3 guides and 2 or 3 students, where the daily inflow of patients in casualty will be around 600. So it seems practically impossible to be a person managing 600 patients. So ultimately they employ basic MBBS, just the graduate students, and there are no trained people. So but I think it will take some time. Very next few upcoming years.
It's a very important area to be looked after. So I think first of all we need to promote this area
Yes,
more.
it needs a lot of promotion, both
Yes.
at the government sector and otherwise. So even though there are now postgraduate programs in India, they are not being established. So these institutions that Samir was talking about, the government hospitals, they've got a fantastic place for training the physicians into the specialty of emergency medicine. But that support, that promotion is not there. So there's a MD qualification, 2009, correct?
Yeah.
2009 it was established that there's an MD in emergency medicine, just like there's an MD medicine and MS general surgery. That is existent in 12 colleges.
Very few.
Now
Very few
more than
colleges.
that, the total number of seats are around 26, which
So
are
you're talking about
recognized by-
26 postgraduate seats in India.
Including
That-
government,
that's
private,
true.
both.
No,
This cannot happen in a private hospital.
This
Because
can be-
medical colleges, they are starting.
Private
Yeah.
medical colleges,
They have started, but
They have started.
After medical education background, I know.
Yeah, these are all MCI recognized private and government medical colleges.
Recognized or approved.
Approved.
There is a difference, because I am
sir.
facing
Yeah.
feedback on this aspect, terminology.
Exactly.
What is the meaning of approval, what is the meaning of recognition, what is the meaning of
So,
renewal?
the recognized ones.
Many students are now facing the problem,
So
they have
recognized-
passed, got degrees,
recognized are
but
more-
not registered,
Registered,
since it is not
yeah.
recognized.
recognized are more, approved are less.
Yeah.
But what we are trying to say is that there is definitely a gulf and a requirement in the government sector, because there the patient load is there, the training opportunities are there, and most importantly the need is there.
Yes.
The patients are coming asking for that care, and because the government hospitals or municipal hospitals or whatever, they are not able to deliver that. Whereas that is where, if there's an impact, it will make a huge difference. The private hospitals, we are all from private hospitals, we are familiar with a lot of corporate setups now. They understand emergency medicine, mostly because the paying patient coming into the hospital is demanding it. They are not ready for that referral service that you mentioned. They are demanding that emergency care, and they are demanding that emergency care 24/7. So gone are the days when they were happy to call the doctor and wait to be seen by a specialist. They are now walking into these hospitals. They know that this exists across the world, so they are demanding that care. So the corporate setup is responded to that because there is an inflow of income. They can't
So
accept
what
that.
you're saying is completely right, but if we see the Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act, so it requires a women doctor always.
24/7.
Yeah, 24/7. Otherwise, the whole the act
That's-
fails in the case of women. So which is why I'm saying that there's need to promote it so that we have even female doctors available in the emergency
See,
services.
this also has to be financially viable. As of now, there are hospitals, the corporate hospitals are picking up the financial remuneration of the doctors also. A cardiologist gets paid handsomely, So we need to have a package kind of thing which will attract younger people and younger generation into emergency fields. So you need to look at that aspect also as to what is the career point of view, what is emergency medicine is offering, and remuneration that you are getting. You cannot be less than a critical care person or less than any other specialty. It should not be that way. The corporate hospitals are realizing the importance and giving that due importance, but then it has to percolate down to many at tier level 2 or level 3 cities also, and level 2 and 3 level of hospitals also. The need for it to be managed by a professional rather than anyone and everyone.
What you're saying, female doctor, I do agree, because if you see overall India, number of female emergency physicians, it's very less. It is around 10% of the total this emergency physician population. Okay, so that is it. But that's what law asks a female doctor to be 24/7. Is it viable? It's sort of
I think,
and how the my
no,
perception.
but this
Yeah,
the female doctor bit at the moment is not a big issue, personally, because I
That
think
is big
any
issue
of
because
us,
you are
any
seeing
of
from
us-
only metro city, but about that
About
80% of the population.
It is a big issue.
Yeah, it
Because
is a
the
big issue.
problem we have to see from pan India.
That's what
because most of these hospitals will have gynecologists in hospital.
But then again, it's a gynae.
No, but gynae will also be a
we
male gynae
want
also.
I mean, we are saying specialized emergency female doctor.
I get exactly what you're saying, but yes, that is an important point. If you look at even the 80% of India, even the basic emergency care,
They are
so
not.
if you're talking about life saving, सिर्फ इसका airway खुला रखना है, even that trained people we don't have. So then to ask for a specialized medical examination of an assaulted patient, especially a child. So if you look at the percentage of those patients, yes, it's a huge problem. So don't get me wrong, I'm not making the problem small. I'm just trying to say there's a bigger problem here, and solving that will automatically have an impact towards this. With the focus on this, we can keep progressing and pushing for that. But we need to keep that in perspective. So yes, there are 80% outside Bombay or metro cities, but the real problem is emergency care. So we need emergency care, emergency trained physicians. Then once you are in that department, even if your one female colleague is not there, you will make provisions that वो call पे है और उसको बुला लेंगे. So that will automatically come, because all of us are emergency physicians. We understand the importance of this, the legal, ethical, all those aspects. You'll automatically get that. But to try and just go for a solution for having a female emergency physician, I think it's slightly
It won't solve the problem
over
for
the top.
long
It's
time.
difficult to solve.
It will take like huge time for that kind of work.
Again, I think on this space, because issues are general more
Yes.
come on the discussion.
Exactly.
If we focus on this aspect, in keeping in all those points,
Sure.
how they affect that scenario. So one issue is about the availability of female lady doctor. My query are, most of the persons, say for example, by the law commissioner, they drafted these. What I think, who is expert? First thing it should come to, because everywhere it is expert which matters, whether it is the court, whether it is a consumer court or criminal court. So whether this gender, because issue are two, social, that is why lady doctor is demanded. But if they are not available, again, when you call the gynecologist, do we have enough gynecologists? And when compared to that medico-legal and their duty need for the clinical services, do we justify that clinical services should be compromised in the name of this medico-legal issue? When emergency medicine or those who are dealing with it, they are available, obviously they are checked. So, are in India, male gynecologists are not successful? I think they are successful, and those female going to the male doctor. So we should come out of this narrow vision ki only lady doctor.
I can understand there might be a social concern.
But that
was
is
the
why I have
reason.
used the word
But
social.
that should be changed, because see, if you see few years back also, the number of female doctors, general specialty I'd say, not a particular specialty, they were so low, and everyone used to visit a male doctor. So even now, if you compare the ratio, it's not big, like it's not 40-60 or that, it's still 30-70 kind of thing. So that gender issue, as sir told,
Yeah, because I have
big
feedback.
impact.
Say for example, in forensic medicine, I think they are the best person to do these medical legal. Because so much legality, technicality involved, and they are nowhere in this field. Especially with privatization of medical education, more than 300 medical colleges are from private, where sufficient faculty qualified is available, but they are male, obviously,
Yeah.
most of them.
Most
And their services are not utilized. So we are having resources, but due to these social issues, ki only female can see female, I think that is injustice to the. This is my
So,
perspective.
the offense is such that a person is already traumatized by this, and then again going to
But my
like
concern
if we
was,
see.
when you're speaking about protection of children from sexual, it's not always the
Always
female
the
child.
female.
It is a
that
gender
true.
neutral.
Even the assessment says that 57% are the boys
Boys.
and rest
Yeah,
are the
that's
girls. So
what
the
it is.
boys are on the higher side
Yeah.
of the sexual assault. That is true.
That's what I'm saying. So, the gender thing, is it
Like,
possible?
according to your perception, do you think male doctors are insensitive?
No. I'm not saying the male doctors are insensitive. The male doctors are more than, they are very competent.
Even
to
they
do
are
that.
more confident in
Yeah.
dealing emergency. This is my perception. I'm not against the women.
But I'm saying from the point of view of the victim, because the victim might not. If we see a social setup, a girl child won't be, because she has been assaulted, maybe by a boy or a girl, whatever. But she might not be feeling really comfortable getting her checked by.
I think
the opposite way.
I think
Can
there are.
This is wrong perception.
But
I
this
think
is
that's
the
wrong
opposite way.
This is wrong perception.
How
I
can
think
it
there
be
are two
practiced
other
also?
aspects. One is that most of the perpetrators of these violence are going to be males. So then you have male doctors. So that's why a female
Yeah.
person would be better. Second,
No, but
the
I think
psychosocial
availability.
support. Exactly. So that is the second point.
So on the realistic,
The psychosocial support that the victim will get from a female doctor will be better than a male doctor.
so
Hands
for
down.
that there is a
But-
recommendation of those psychologists.
But
Not
not
the
at that
medical
time.
doctor.
And the
Sorry,
feasibility
can
is
I
a
just get
problem.
an up-to-date where we are? I probably joined in a little late, so just.
So the POSCO Act, which has been circulated, we're discussing that, and that necessitates needing a female physician.
So have we
examining.
gone to that point straight away? That's the first point of discussion?
No. We just discussed previously general
We have
points
a
that
female
since
Which is
we
what
have
we
to
like.
focus on the
Physician.
topic.
Okay, so
24 by
have we all introduced to each other?
Yeah.
Yes, I have
You're
not.
only-
My name is Dr. Mahesh Joshi, so I from the executive co-chairman for the Society of Emergency Medicine. So what I'll do is, otherwise we'll keep on discussing, we'll not have a direction. We'll put a direction to you. Let's get everybody up to date on POXO. Have we got a fair idea on POXO, all of us?
Reasonable. I wouldn't say.
Okay, so I think it will be, because honestly, it is not in our day-to-day thing and we don't spend time onto it. It will be good to quickly go through what are the important things into it. Then let's look at what are the important challenges from a legal point, from an emergency medicine point, and then we can discuss, otherwise we'll go round and round. So I'm sure we have these huge numbers, statistics, every other day we are seeing the news and other things, right? So basically, the first point is POXO representing child abuse, yes or no? That's the first question that we need to ask.
As on today, yes. As per the legal.
It's representing only the child's sexual abuse, not the child abuse. Okay, that's one fundamental important point that we need to put on table, because you're seeing every other day children who are battered, children who are exploited, children who are neglected, children who are abused. So first point we'll come back on this discussion is POXO representative of child abuse, or it is only talking about child sexual abuse?
It is
Only sexual abuse. But the point of discussion that we have is, from an emergency medicine perspective, you can't say we will only screen the child for sexual abuse. You have to screen a child comprehensive
All
for
abuse.
any kind of abuse, of which sexual thing is one of the things. We'll come to that point. So basically, as we all know, it could be, abuse can be in the form of injury, neglect, negligent treatment, blaming for sexual stimulation, incest, exploitation, sexual abuse. That's the paradigm of abuse that we are talking about. Sexual abuse gets prominence, but the other abuse, which can sometimes also be fatal and cause long-term impacts on this.
And higher in magnitude.
Yes, and higher in magnitude actually. Just broadly, the places of abuse, what are the common things that come to our mind in terms of places of abuse?
Home, school,
Right. So it can happen in any kind of home, either their own homes or shelter homes or prisons or all of these places. The reason is that when we have assessment and when we have history coming in of the child, these questions become relevant to be taken when you're talking about screening for abuse. Place of work also it can happen on the streets. That's the broad thing. I'm not trying to share. I thought it will be good for us to revisit so that when we are coming on to important points, this will help us to jot down the points of discussion. And what are the impacts of it? Why are we trying to look at abuse? What are the impacts of not addressing the child abuse or child sexual abuse?
Because that is the future generation for any country. If they are feeling sexually traumatized from psychological point of view,
psychological.
So there are 4 broad impacts of it. One is on the health, second is on the survival, third is development, and fourth is dignity. These are 4 elements that get affected. And so it's not just about one aspect, because it could result in sexually transmitted illnesses. Somebody might be fine otherwise, but we could be increasing burden of sexual transmitted diseases. So these 4 elements is what it is impacting. Let's look at what are the current legal provisions to address the child abuse. What are the current provisions? Anybody from law here? Okay. So what are the current provisions that we have?
For sexual abuse of children?
For child abuse, anything related to child abuse, what is the way we are addressing it?
So like if you see the POCSO Act, it's saying if you see section 21 of the Act, it says that first of all it makes the reporting mandatory. Like you have to report anybody who has a sense
I
of
understand. Look, POCSO is only addressing, I'm talking at a broad level. What are the other elements which are addressing child abuse on the legal manner? POCSO is not the only law that we have, right?
So otherwise we have our IPC taking care of the abuse of any kind, be it child or adult.
So let's
If we
reflect on
see,
it.
even if we see our rape, section 375 IPC, it takes care of the girl from the age of 12 to 18, like beyond 18 also, but it has made the rape, like if non-consensual below the age of 18, it's a rape. So our IPC is very well taken care of.
So great, couple of things. I think it's important for us to understand why the need of POCSO came. Why did POCSO come into
So
place?
first of all, POCSO came into place because we have signed the International Convention on Child Rights, right? And then in 2012, this act came in because if we see a lot of surveys have been done before bringing this act into play. So it has been seen that it is the most unreported offense that is prevailing in India. So this has to be taken care of because number of children, as I've already said, that males and females, the survey has been done, and males have been more prone to this offense. So this is after signing the convention and doing the surveys that this POCSO is in place.
so as an international obligation to a treaty,
So
India has to
there are
address
multiple
the
things
problem.
which make us, one of them is international convention and declaration that we are party to. Second, the constitution itself has certain
Yeah.
rights for children. Third, there are a lot of national policies which have evolved over the time since independence. National policy for children, national policy for education, national policy on child labor. I'm talking of broad level, not just the sexual abuse again. Again from bringing up children, national nutrition policy which looks at the meal etc. for children. The national health policy, national charter for children 2004, national plan for action for children 2005. Year after it, every 3 or 4 years there is something which has come, but which largely, these all looked at non-sexual aspect of it, employability, nutrition and other aspect of it. But till 2005, you had huge lag. And I think within the IPC, there are multiple things, and you are an expert on this. I think we have the PNDT Act also where it addresses that you have juvenile justice, immoral traffic prevention, Child Labor Act, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, Commission for Protection of Child's Rights Act 2005. And then finally devolved to POCSO. The important thing for all of us to probably reflect is everything related to child abuse is coming under different headings and different things. So if you look at other countries, they have something called as CAPTA, or laws which are comprehensive for child abuse prevention and treatment. It's not only focusing on child sexual abuse. So one, is there a need for a comprehensive law which looks at all kinds of abuse rather than just talking about the sexual abuse is the fundamental thing that will again come back out of this. So from POCSO 2012, you want to tell probably the important things so that we are all up to date. What are the broad?
I think that we have not so much time. We should come
How much
forward
time
with
we
a
have?
practical-
How much time we
Up
have?
to 1 PM.
So how much time we have? That's what I'm asking.
Already is
2 hours,
better.
2.5 hours we have, right? If we don't understand what we are discussing, we'll just be talking in thin air. I think
But
it's
first we
important.
should come forward with the problems which
No,
we
no,
are
but if you
facing.
don't understand the subject, that's what I'm trying to tell.
Again, say for example, I'm just want to
Actually,
interrupt,
before
but we
you
should be
came in,
focused.
Before you came in, we have already framed 3 issues. I think we should address them first.
So
and then.
let's understand what are the issues.
Ethical, legal, social, economical again, because when a patient comes, he is not paying capacity. You are in private sector, most of you. So how to deal with that situation? I think these are the main issues around which, and again, from qualification point of view, you are dealing with that, their experience, training, whether it is sufficient enough. Again, since most of you are in emergency medicine, is that your syllabus addresses these issues in your top, that syllabus or not? If not, again, that is a problem. How to make aware? Because nobody is coming out of that structure syllabus. We should be part of that syllabus with what you want to discuss. So is that part of that your syllabus? If not, then again problem is there. Medical legal, is that part of your syllabus or only clinical aspect?
There are the medical legal and this part, but they are not so extensively covered.
that is what I'm
It's
saying,
just
there is
they-
overlapping.
you know, there is an act
Yeah.
for child, just like once this 2012 POCSO came, it will be there reflected, okay, there is a law POCSO for this thing, but no one knows what exactly.
That is why, because
But
you
it-
are most of the
I think in
time
medical
engaged with
school-
clinical aspect.
Now when we learn
And
our
forensic
medical
medicine,
school-
they are dealing with legal aspect and
Sir,
medical
sir,
legal. They
you
are
are
not
right when you're saying that though you know that POCSO is there, but you don't know what exactly
Yeah.
it is. So the doctors are really need to know what POCSO is, because if we see section 21 of the act, it makes the reporting mandatory, and if the doctor does not report, it gives him 6 months of imprisonment and fine.
That's
So,
what I'm
so
saying.
you see how important it is to know
Yeah.
the act.
No, that's what I'm saying. See, what has happened is just like in our MBBS curriculum, we have forensic medicine, there is a law being taught, but it's not so detailed that we understand. Even most of us who don't know what is 302 and 302A.
Yeah, yeah. So here again, role of MCI comes into picture, because MCI is framing that time frame for each subject.
Yeah.
Say for example, if it is part of forensic medicine syllabus during MBBS course, they have allotted only 100 hours for 1.5 years.
That's it.
And that too 1/3 only lectures. That means 30 lectures in which you have to cover every topic, including toxicology. So where is the time for this discussion of legal aspect or medical legal?
So, sir,
aspect?
NCI especially should take into account the provisions in the curriculum where the doctors can be held liable at least, so that doctors know their rights and know their duties.
We have represented on this aspect, and MCI has taken care since Board of Order 2010. Vision 2015, if you are aware of that document, restructuring of the whole syllabus for all the subjects. But till date, every time government is changing, every time MCI is replaced, so that is gone backward. So-
Can I just also, I think what we are all trying to say is, what is the aim of this session?
Just to
Are
come
we
out-
looking at the problems and we are trying to make recommendations to the
Yeah.
government, or what are we doing?
We have to come out with the problem, then recommendation, which should be with legal framework in India, including constitution, and then make recommendation so that after that IMF they can make follow up. Again, since the persons from law commissions are there, they will make presentations. Maybe amendment, maybe news something like you are saying, comprehensive law. So that will come after only that small starting.
So is it at a broader level or at the emergency department level?
I think it is in an emergency, because the first contact is at the emergency.
Right.
So you are the facing problem, so that is why you should come out with this, these are the problems. And we are, say for example, I am giving one example on this aspect. Patient coming to casualty with parents. One is father, another is mother. Real problem, which I come across.
So I think
And father is the abuser of that
I
female
get
girl.
that. There's one more thing which I said earlier. So majority of patients in India, they are not coming to the emergency department. So they are presenting to the general practitioners in other places where this abuse has to be picked up. So though we are here spearheading, trying to formulate and advise what we need to do, it has to cover all of that as a part of the.
Naturally. Because everybody should know the law of the land, whether you are in emergency department or general department or in clinical individual practice. So from that point of view, so I am giving that social aspect of this issue. So father is the abuser and they are poor. The father is the only bread earner. And father is not interested in that medical legal. Mother is interested. And now you are facing the dilemma. This is the dilemma. Since if you inform as per mandatory requirement, he will be arrested. Mother is interested because he is involved in the child protection, actual protection. And if bread earner is behind the bar, who will look after that family? That is why these issues are not coming actually, or coming doctor in dilemma, what to do? Whether whose consent? If the child is minor, father consent, mother consent, because these are the issues which are coming to me as an expert. They are calling Dr. Patay, but in this situation, what we should know? Natural guardian both. So whose consent and who will look after that welfare of the child or the family, where the father is the bread earner of the whole family. So these are the issues where we have to highlight. Otherwise, because under emotional that pressure.
Sir, I think what is important is not to get carried away by what will happen after we have picked up the child abuse. The first thing is to pick up the child abuse.
Otherwise, it should
Okay, all these things will come only after. The large problem right now is what you see as 53% will be at least close to 70-80% if only the detection improves. So the first fundamental point is how do we pick up child abuse? Why is it not being picked up currently? One fact is it is not part of the education. Second fact is there is a broad lack of awareness about this law, implications of this law. Like we are 8 people sitting here. If this forum was not there, I would not have spent time so much reading about the Boxer law, right? That's why it's important for us to educate every level of healthcare provider. As he correctly said, probably a lot of it can be picked up by general practitioners. You don't need to have a gynecologist or a pediatrician. You need to have every healthcare provider associated. But what you need to create is what is called as evidence-based screening tool, which is not there. So screening tool, when you talk of education or training, it should not just be about law. It should be about how you will screen the child. This question about if mother and father comes along with the child, who will and how it will be handled, it's very clear-cut stated that every child with any suspicion must be interviewed independently of parents, and all 3 must be interviewed independently. Right? So having good screening tools is the most important thing. I don't think there is Indian Academy of Pediatrics or Gynecology or Forensic Medicine which has set up a screening tool for this. Every initial assessment of a child must have what you call as abuse screening done onto the child, which is part of the initial assessment, just like
But again, whatever we are talking on this aspect is true. No? Do we have enough manpower in emergency department? Because this is time consuming.
Sir,
And there are 10 patients waiting for you. You have to prioritize.
तो सब चीज में कुछ ना कुछ निकलेगा but
वहीं से प्रॉब्लम आएगी ना कि हमें मैनपावर भी तो बढ़ानी है.
सर मैनपावर उसके बाद बढ़ेगी ना जब आप
Requirement
आप
बढ़ाने
बताएंगे
का
कि
भी-
रिक्वायरमेंट है हमारी इसलिए शॉर्ट है तब जाके मैनपावर
आप
बढ़ेगी.
legal requirement
आज से 10 साल पहले तो एक भी इमरजेंसी फिजिशियन नहीं था इस कंट्री में.
Abhi recently there is a case filed in the Supreme Court on this IC. A patient died in that Breakaway. So the Supreme Court then asked, given direction to almost MCI, what are the guidelines? What is the ratio of bed to manpower in the emergency or critical care, high dependency units? Because everything is interlinked. We cannot separate.
So the whole thing is, one is you have the choice of one expert screening 100 people, or you create next level of 10 generalists screening 100 people, or having a good screening tool which can be used by a non-skilled person to screen more than 100 people, and only where there is high suspicion use the next level people. That's the value of any screening tool, so that it can be done by somebody who is least knowledgeable about that subject. That's what is a screening tool, which is high sensitivity, less specific, but it filters out broad level people who would be falsely negative or in that.
So actually, where you are saying, I'll just start from there because our act asks for counselor and everything. So you people are in a better position to tell us that do we really are we really practicing this act?
No.
We are not practicing. I'll tell you why. There is a huge problem. Let's look at the current. These are laws which have been cut, copy, pasted from international laws and just put into an Indian
So
system.
that way, sir, every
So if-
act
No.
like that.
So
will
it
be-
takes maturity, right? Any law takes maturity. This is just a 4-year-old
Yeah,
law.
yeah.
It is very, very new right now. Right? So if I look at where is the problem, let's look at whatever abuse reporting is happening, where is it happening currently? In private hospital or public healthcare system? It's happening in public healthcare system. 70% of your healthcare delivery in urban areas is done by private healthcare system. So you are losing that complete opportunity, going away there, right? So there is huge disparity there, and we are expecting this law to be implemented across
Universally.
public and private system. First of all, the key resources to perform. I don't have a pediatrician, where will I get a counselor in the public healthcare system? At least in the last 10 years, you have Joint Commission or NABH which has come up. At least Joint Commission insists that you must have an abuse screen on every patient that walks into your emergency department. It may be a formality, but it is at least still there on the paper.
and it's across
So there is
ages.
the most important next step for us is, just like the JCI has mandated, the National Accreditation Board of Hospitals need to make this as mandatory screening guidelines for any kind of abuse to be included into the product assessment. So the point that I was making is, in terms of this, there will be a lot of adaptation we'll have to do into this law. It looks very, very raw when you start then at 50,000 feet from being implemented. Provisions are there. The similar thing is there in many other laws. Where is there a funding provision created for this? You have created, there are 5 manpowers to be there additional for this, right? If you just look at public healthcare system, have they been funded into the manpower requirement for the government hospitals? It has not been done. This has just been put as a law. So you actually need to create funding mechanisms for this additional manpower to be recruited within the systems. If it is a law which needs to be practiced across. It's just been put at a high level. But within this, what is a difficult thing, what is an easy doable thing, is how we should be able to prioritize and put our recommendations out of these discussions. So one is creating awareness across community first. Secondly, within the healthcare provider system. Secondly is to create effective screening tools, and there are standard screening tools which are there available for reference. They don't require high-end investigations most of the times. So have those screening tools in place. commitment is where it comes, resource commitment and funding commitment from the institutions, from the government for this to happen. If the government is able to do it by this, they can mandate where is the fine for not doing these things to hospitals. If a law is there, suppose today somebody does an audit and finds that 65 pediatric patients walked into a hospital last month and no screening was done, is there a fine on the institution? It's not there currently. So unless you hold
Even
the
vision of that punishment for not informing.
Not
whether
informing.
it is implemented.
Right.
Who is going to implement it? This is
So
the
not
problem.
informing आपको पता तभी चलेगा when you actually put in a mandatory screen. And if that screening is not done in the audit, you will find out. But currently जो audit हो रहा है, उसमें
नहीं,
patient को देखा है, vitals देख लिया, doctor ने देखा है, that is a patient assessed. So you cannot blame that institution.
ये तो जैसे बोला NABH, GCN and all that, if it makes mandatory over there, then it will automatically start having an impact because hospitals want that recognition and government sector has to make it a law applicable.
Also, the other important challenge is, if you look at majority of the hospitals are catering to adult patients. In fact, they, by law unto themselves, they refuse pediatric patients, saying that we don't handle pediatric patients. In Indian
Again,
system.
from emergency point of view. If it is emergency, they cannot refuse, but they are refusing.
They are refusing.
Yeah,
They refuse life-threatening emergency. This is a question of sexual
So
assault.
reality is
So,
totally different.
so where and how do we mandate of this being implemented, and what is the monitoring mechanism for this? Law is there.
I
4
think
years
child
of
protection
challenge
helpline
of
is there.
implementation
But
is-
again, nobody of sitting here ever used that.
And I just
So what is the
want
purpose
to,
again?
I just want to cite an example. Like it's a real life and where I had. Patient comes in, she's an 8-year-old female child, unresponsive, brought in. She was taken to another hospital where they tried treating her, but they could not. Brought in with parents. Patient was not very well, so was like primary treatment was given. Then while catheterizing, it was found that there is chance of sexual abuse which has happened. Now, gynecologists were called in to take care of that part. The patient apparently must have been stifled because she developed a very bad subcutaneous emphysema. So, after that, now the gynecologist is saying, I am 100% sure this is sexual abuse. Now, how do we report it? We had took a step, we called up the police station, we told them, we suspect something like this, what to do? They said, like, unless until the parents complain, we can't do it.
So this is the problem. Because here mandatory reporting is there.
Exactly.
There is a difference between the 375, 376 and this POXA. Here reporting mandatory. In that case,
So-
above 18, 164A is there. With consent, only reporting is there.
So-
Here is the difference. Awareness.
So now, even like when I'm calling the, the people who are the law
Law
enforcement,
enforcement.
even they are not
They are
aware
not
of
aware.
it, so.
So this is the
So another problem that doctors might face, that the POXO says any child below 18 years. So even a consensual sex below 18 years makes it a rape.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
so doctor reporting it means a doctor is reporting of a rape as well. So many a times it is a consensual sex between two people which are of below 18 years. So many a times the girl does not want to report it because the other person, it was with consent.
This is
This
social
is
So-
again a dilemma. This is again a dilemma.
Yeah.
That is. See, these are the dilemmas. Where
That's
suppose
why
they are in love affair.
NHRC recommended to reduce that age from 18 to 17.
So, but
Looking at
that
how the
won't
world-
help. Even 17 year below, we
I mean, I'm saying, what are the steps that are being done into that direction? We can only think out of it. These challenges will continue, I think.
I think sensitization is the first aspect or awareness at all levels, not only in emergency department. And then coordination between different agencies is the most important thing. Say for example, there must be some, in every hospital, local police unit which they have recommended. I think there is no put this separate unit for
See
that.
the
In child protection.
what you're saying,
Yeah.
the local police in each hospital, if you consider the hospital as to be defined like how many bedded hospital, there are 5 bedded hospitals also and there are 5,000 bedded hospitals. So that I don't think so is possible.
So they have not defined actually.
That's what, so
That extra manpower
someone has a.
Because patient can approach anywhere.
No,
no, what he's trying to
enforcing this police person in the hospital. That itself is a big problem.
Yeah,
So
post
like we
make a
face
plan.
this, the way we.
You should have that number, helpline number. You should
Yeah,
inform
but
them.
they don't take it, that's what, so it's
So
not in
you
our
should
area.
mention
This is-
in record, we have this call and nobody picked up. So that will come as
Now,
an evidence.
And now again, there's another thing which is there, like as we inform all MLCs with a proper form and everything, do we have to keep another separate form for this?
For your
thing?
record.
I
Yes.
think,
So that again has to be put into play, otherwise
That
just
is
the
why
normal
he is
MLC.
recommending that is screening.
Just screening to
Please separate.
And while reporting, what will happen if doctors suspect it and by chance it is not there?
Not
So,
there.
There is embarrassment
there is
for-
a, there is a protection, good faith.
Okay.
If you are informing in good faith, based upon your observation or experience, there is enough good protection. You cannot be harassed by any law. There is a clause. So that should be done.
Not to be honest, the implication. of
Defamation,
defamation
that
and
is
anything
being
can.
raised.
No, defamation not coming, there is a good faith clause. If you are doing anything, say for example, in emergency, you can treat patient, whatever your experience, in interest or without taking consent, you will have enough protection in law, section 92 is there, IPC. And nothing can happen against you.
From the
You should aware
parent's
of
point
it.
of view, it will be very embarrassment for the doctor's side.
These are the social things which you have to face. Say for example, violence against doctor. In spite of that act in every state, every day you are reporting these cases. Why? Because public is not sensitive enough. They have lost faith in the judicial system. So the problem is not single phase, it's multifaceted. When you know there is a law, nothing will happen, I will openly violate, nobody is going to respect the law. Or when you see the Chief Justice of India, he is in tears, backlog, 32 lakhs cases are pending in the Supreme Court. So ultimately what is the, why this, after that Nirbhaya incident, it was expected that after that law, severe punishment, even capital punishment in some one of the law, this will solve the problem. Is it solved? No. See the NCRB report of this, 34,000 cases. Why? Because the law is not percolated, the purpose of law is deterrent, which is not there. Due to that judicial system is non-responsive. They have their own problem, infrastructure, judges are not there. Even fast track court, many districts are there where no fast track court is working with. And that victim compensation schemes, that is in place, funds are there, but nobody is willing to help the victim. I am dealing with one case, my domestic help. The daughter was mentally and physically handicapped. So they come in group from Bengal. So one of the person was in the house to look after that girl, and he started. Since he was mentally, physically handicapped, she has not reported. Ultimately, when the pregnancy advances, she complains of pain. Mother can understand his gesture, and so she approached the gynecologist. Age was 14 years at that time. Gynecologist, after doing all the examination, ultrasound was positive for pregnancy. She did not advise anything. At that time, it was not beyond 20 weeks. Ultimately, with the lapse of time, she recommended some medicine and like that, we continued the pregnancy. Here is the sense of need for that sensitization and awareness of doctors. Gynecologist in a big city, unmarried female, 14 years, it is not mandatory to report. And ultimately the case, FIR has been filed. I personally approached every authority in the state by writing personal letter. There is a provision for helping the girl. Ultimately, she delivered in district hospital, female child. After that, another problem started of who will adopt that child. Initially, their family was trying to honor that. We counseled them. No, we will help you. Please be with us. And ultimately, they agreed. But nobody is coming forward, including district magistrate, that legal cell of district, state district, that legal cell, and even that there is a fund of 100 crore in the UP Rani Lakshmi Bai Yojana online. Nobody. So this is the state of affairs. What to talk of? So here need of sensitivity, and again, if I complain, somebody should come forward to take action against this. So ultimately we are contributing from our and ultimately giving help to that, but that is not going to solve the problem. there are many cases coming to the Supreme Court and High Court is related to MTP. When these females, mainly below 18 years, they become pregnant, and when it comes to notice, it is already beyond 20 weeks. The MTP Act amendment is pending since 2014 to increase the age limit from 20 to 24 weeks. What is happening? Government is trying to inculcate nursing, Ayurveda to do MTP just due to political mileage, but they are not coming. Recently, I think another case come to the Supreme Court, where Supreme Court order, yes, terminate the pregnancy. So again, problem is multifaceted, so we should try to restrict to what we can do or what is possible solution, so that recommendation can be made again ultimately to the law commission or those who are in power to make the law implemented.
So one thing is clear that after having a law, it is really required to see the applicability
Yes,
of the
yes,
law.
yes.
And I think since POCSO is a law where it requires that doctors need to be consulted to and fro, like while making a law, and even to see the application of law. So I think it's a good platform to see what problems you as a doctor are facing. So I have pointed out a few points which I can recommend.
So have you any idea, sir, Dr. Mahesh, about any that how much staff should be placed in casualty or emergency department? Is there any guidelines?
So I think what
In MCI there is a guideline 1:1 for doctors and for nurses be same in MCI. But in
emergency department it says 1:1
Yeah.
for emergency.
yes, 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 I have that document. I have that document.
So unfortunately, the people who have written,
Yeah.
they have hardly worked in. Third point, emergency department staffing is based on the workload. It is not based on the patient. On what
How many you see in a
patient,
day?
this is, so it's basically
That
subject to.
time you have full,
That
suppose
you see.
20 bed casualty, it is full. So you at that time appoint the doctor or staff, which is in the planning stage. When you are planning, you are opening 20 bedded, 40 bedded trauma and care, critical care. At that time you have to plan. This is the requirement, and for emergency.
Sir, it's like this,
Because-
20 beds, let me give you my example.
Yeah.
When I started an ED, it was 8 beds.
Yeah.
It worked with one doctor on shift.
But that is not.
Then we expanded to 20 beds.
Okay.
In the initial part, it worked with one doctor on shift.
So that is, so is there any guideline?
Then slowly, it went up to 5 doctors with the same 20 beds. Because it's a subject of workload. You can always say that the minimum supervision required for patients would be what in treatment. So what, if you look at an average time that the physician spends per patient is what is used to calculate how much time will you have to spend on those so many patients. A physician in an emergency department for a non-resuscitation of priority 1, priority 2, priority 3 patient, if you're taking, for a P1 patient spends about 45 minutes with the patient, 5 minutes observation. It also depends upon what category of patient you see more often. If you have P2 and P3 patients, spend about 30 or 15 minutes with patients. So if your load is subject to what case mix you see, then you actually start increasing your staffing. But roughly they say for every 8 beds there must be a supervision by a physician. For a resusc patient, there must be 1:1. For a non-resusc patient, with an observation day, you could have 2:1 nursing. But this is all very dynamic in emergency department. So if you look at
But if we plan to amend this act, so what would you suggest, like for the emergency?
you don't need specialist physicians for it. You basically need the support staff to facilitate this. You actually need to hire counselors to be available to handle these cases. You don't need doctors for this. Doctors will be doing, if you incorporate this into their like pulse, heart rate, BP, these are 5
So
other
you are
points.
saying for the physical injury only we need the doctors, and for the psychological injury that they have, for that the counselors will.
Absolutely.
I think they at the district level, as in our country, district, state, and the national level, at each district level, whatever the manpower at your hospital, that is okay for at least taking clinical care. They should inform if this is suspected case to that district unit, which is already recommendation of Child Welfare Committee, through helpline. From there, those counselor, they may be part-time, they may be on call basis or that pro
You
rata
cannot have
basis.
doctor based on type
So they
of
will
the
take detailed-
presentation that is coming, right? So suppose tomorrow we will start saying there is a law related to road accidents, so there should be a doctor which is dedicated only to road accidents, it will never work. You basically need a physician who is trained to handle everything in emergency medicine. Support mechanism for this, you basically need counselors, you need law enforcement support into this whole story at that point in time. So having, if the incidence in a certain area is higher, then having the police station affiliated with that or this special cell which is assigned for the boxer thing, those can liaise closely with the hospital or the emergency.
Coordination
department of the
between these
So
different
one
agencies.
problem which I think is there, that this POXO offence is not really reported at the same time. Many a times patients come really late. So I really want to understand that, is it detectable at that time? Like, how do you make a how do you
If you are
make out that
sensitized.
it is
Yeah,
So-
it's education and
So,
awareness.
let me give you an example of non-sexual. If you look at emergency medicine as a specialty, it's a very new specialty, right? Before this, you had people from ENT, gynec, ophthalm, orthopedics, anesthesia sitting in the emergency room. So if you ask anybody of them what's a battered baby syndrome, none of them would know what is a battered baby syndrome. It's when this specialty came up, people were actually educated that kids can present it like this. When you see certain X-ray findings, you should be suspecting this. When you educate, now you find that a lot of young doctors who have gone through emergency medicine training have started picking up battered baby syndrome in India. So it's a matter of incorporating that into education and also making it mandatory to the assessment. Like till JCI came, even in Apollo hospitals, we never did any kind of abuse screening. Drug abuse screening is also important for medical legal cases. But because JCI mandated it and it had to be documented initially, we did it as a formality and then it became part of our culture. So we started doing it. So I think if you have to understand on the levels of implementing this, what is the most important thing that you want to address in terms of POXO? You want to improve the detection. You want to make the process of handling after detection better. You want to rehabilitate and further care of that sufferer better. What is it? From this point of view, rehabilitation is not a purview of emergency medicine,
Or of medicine.
right? Or of medicine by large. The second point is handling of the case post-it. That's where the treatment part comes. What happens as far as the treatment, post-exposure treatment for sexual abuse. There are standard guidelines which need to be implemented. And from a detection, this is where the emergency medicine department will play a huge role.
So this act is taking care of all the points that you are saying. First of all, it makes the report.
Act is there. The
And
whole
is
point
there.
is, what I'm saying is,
These
how
are
do you
the-
make that act happen on the ground?
No, sir, but unless and until the offence is reported.
How will you
To
report?
get the report,
How will
the
you
act-
report?
The act itself has.
There
to
are
be-
kids who come and go and are treated for psychological symptoms, referred to psychiatrists because there's nobody spending time to understand what is going on into that child's mind. They are referred to a gynecologist, they are referred to a gastroenterologist, they are undergoing repeated ultrasound scans because nobody even thinks that this could be a sexually exploited child.
So what we are saying, what we are trying to say is the act, the law is already there. For its implementation,
For its
the
implementation-
recommendations would be, one would be the awareness, which covers community, law enforcement and as well as doctors in general. So the law has to make that mandatory. Part of it mandatory will be the screening bit.
So what
And all
is, you
hospitals-
sensitize, just make awareness that a law like this exists. Once people start knowing it, then if people start thinking in the community, yeah, this child is not behaving well, there's something wrong, let's take it to the hospital. Either suspecting something, and once they come to hospital, that's the next level where you, by default, the child coming in, you screen irrespective of what they are saying. They may come with vague symptoms. Like people come saying that the child is not being paying attention. Now, this is how kids come. So by default, there is a screening, and there are standard screenings for this. I mean, so if I look at this right, there are 4 elements to it. One is obtaining a proper history. What elements of history needs to be obtained? Physical examination. What are the important things that you must do into that physical examination? Diagnostics. What are the common diagnostics that you would be using? Say, for example, skeletal survey for an abused child. Baseline labs for coagulopathies, urine blood to exposure to toxic substances, eye screening, of CT scan, etc. So these are, and age-wise there are standard guidelines. If it is a child between 0 to 2, what are the things that you do? Between 2 to 5, what do you do? If it is more than 5 years, what do you do? Once you put all these things in place, you will start seeing effect of this in 5 years. If you delay this,
So, one very important recommendation that we have come up with is first of all making a guidelines for screening properly.
Guidelines are there.
So-
Guidelines are there. Central government has made guidelines available in the net.
So we must have
No,
guidelines
but
attached to
it
this
should be
act.
implemented,
If you
should be
really want to
implemented.
see the
Should be
implementation.
Guidelines तो बनी हुई हैं.
तो
Ultimately,
वो हमारे तक पहुंचाना है
they are available on website. 132 pages guidelines of government of
law,
India.
just like JCI is not a law body, so it should be a by law. Each and every hospital, each and every pediatric patient who come has to undergo this basic screening, and that's a further thing. So those who do not obey with this law, or those who do not comply with this law, there should be some kind of fine or some kind of action being taken on the hospital. For
So
not
can we say
implementing.
that we can have a proper SOP for this?
Yeah, but SOP is
Government of India has SOPs.
For
But they are not known, or since they are not working, so nobody is
Sir, no, they are working, sir, they are not followed.
if it is government of India, let's look at who enforces these guidelines within an institution.
Guidelines actually are, these are guidelines. They cannot be enforced because there are many things
Right. So
in between where you have to take
what we
decisions.
need to find out is how we can find this agency who will be mandated. The government ने अगर guideline बनी है तो क्यों नहीं implement हुई है? It's because government बना के रख दिए हैं, but they don't come into the contact of the hospital after that. Who comes into contact of the hospital? Either it's the institutional leadership, or it will be Medical Council of India, or it will be NABH, or it will be Joint Commission. So these accrediting agencies which are there, when they look at the clinical quality part of it as a part of the quality metrics of the hospital, this has to become an important metrics to be measured, whether there is a screening tool that is on. And I'll tell you this, it is possible. Till Nirbhaya case happened, 9.9 out of 10 private hospitals did not do any kind of rape assessment also for the patient. We used to put in a vehicle and send them to government hospital. This is what I am telling out of my experience of 25 years working in different corporate hospitals. Case aaya, we don't have the facility, we send to government hospital. This was by default. Law was there for 10 years that everybody should do it. But the practice was that the private hospitals by default would send to public hospitals. So much so that the younger generation believed that the law is like this, that you cannot handle. This is a fact. That's because law was made. Law banane wale don't monitor the hospitals, right? So if agents, it's only when they started taking
They are just interested in
cognizance
making the law.
after the media reports that
And
some
make
of
a
the
part
private
of the
hospitals
book,
refused taking care of the
not
rape
to see
victim.
audit.
Then
What is
GO was issued to all the hospitals that they must have this standard operating SOP which is guided by, they must have XYZ, this must be the person available within your hospital, and they started auditing hospitals for it. That's when it happened. So one important recommendation, one is sensitization of all stakeholders, and this needs money.
And so this act also says that the hospital cannot refuse, like in whichever hospital the patient goes, the
So what
victim
he is
goes.
saying is that that is what it is written in the law. The person who is practicing, he is not aware,
He's not even aware of
what
the
is,
law actually.
what happens most of the times is, it is the senior who tells you, कि ऐसा ऐसा करना रहता है, ये आया कि government hospital में, and these like
They become
corporates
unwritten
and
rule
what
actually.
and what's he's telling about screening tool there also, we are speaking about the Joint Commission and NABH accredited hospitals which are not even 10% of the number of hospitals in the country.
And actually not reporting any of these.
So if you
like
see
you said,
Mumbai,
this is
there
the
might be
government-
some 10 hospitals.
Even NABH accredited hospital, they are violating them and somebody making complaint, they are not doing
Yeah,
anything.
no, but I'm
I
saying.
have to record.
These are accreditations you are
A
saying.
big hospital.
What about the non-accredited,
Non-accredited.
which is
It's the
the
largest
90% of these hospitals are serving the healthcare facility to the country. That is 90%, they're not even aware of this. And that's what we initially were speaking during our curriculum itself about the MBBS. And because as Nitin told, it's not only emergency physician, emergency medicine departments are just in about 1 to 2% of the hospitals. So you consider any kind of healthcare provider, they are not aware of any kind of this laws. And as what he had faced a problem, now he is aware of the law, he knows there is thing, but the person, the law enforcement agency, they are refusing it. They are not aware. what
So
we do?
one recommendation is making the guidelines like you said, and second is also
Aware.
adding into the curriculum what I feel.
One is
Curriculum
creating
and
awareness should be your first thing. And awareness at what levels? Within the legal community first. Second is the enforcement agencies, healthcare providers and institutions, and community. This is at 4 levels, and all of this will need money, lots of money.
But say
It
for
won't happen
example,
without-
right to education is implemented on paper at least.
Yes.
There is enough budget.
But I feel there's no implementation.
I think, but is it part of that curriculum? How the child should feel, what is the good field touch or bad field touch? That should be started from, because only the victim, if he has been made aware, then problem
The
will
primary
solve.
education itself should
And in Delhi, I think they have started this, and ultimately good results are there. They started reporting to that particular teacher to whom they are feeling comfortable. So if that community, who is the whether patient or family member, if they are aware and their right to education, every child has to reach to the school. So from there, and ultimately we doctor, I think we should not raise this awareness issue. We are intellectual, every time newspaper, electronic media, they are discussing, so you just search, documents are available. So we cannot raise at least this issue, ki we should be made aware.
No, but it's
So
not
whether
about,
it is a philosophy of.
but it's not about we 8 or 10 people sitting
Why?
here.
Whoever, MBBS means intellectual.
No, no.
I
it's
mean,
not-
Sir, we should not be in this myth. I think there are, see, when I was educated, this law was not there when I passed MBBS.
So
I
that
had
is
no
why there is
idea
a
about
provision,
this.
there is a provision of CME, mandatory credit
But
hours.
sir, you tell me, sir, CME, how many times, would you know what is the latest resuscitation guidelines?
Yes, but again, but you should make those now as a part of CME. Say for example, in medical colleges, there is one department, mandatory department, medical education unit, mandatory, which they are supposed to organize these programs for general
Sir,
practitioners.
CME, I can attend any goddamn CME which
Sir, I
is
go for
relevant to
direct
me, put
CME.
those credits onto me and I can get rectified.
Yeah.
And anybody who goes for CME is not going to go for something which is not part of his day-to-day thing. What I am saying is there is an additional effort has to be made, sir.
So
in this.
who will make?
Sir, government has to. People who have.
Which government?
People who
Central or
have.
state? Again, we will deviate from that. There is a structured infrastructure available in writing, mandatory, I am using the word mandatory, medical education unit in 450 medical colleges. Now the proposal is open one medical college at each district in future, 5 or 6 years, you will get. There is a infrastructure, trained manpower is there in medical college. Are they doing this?
Sir, how many of those trained manpower know about this?
That is why I am saying, na.
That's what I'm saying, sir, you have
तो
to
डॉक्टर
spend
भी
time.
हमेशा यही कहेगा कि we should be trained.
We have to.
Sir, जैसे
So
जिस बार-
training it comes
Say for
awareness.
example, I did LLB, I did MBA. Is it mandatory? Why I did? Because I feel sensitive.
Sir, नहीं, आप
To
जो बोल रहे-
on the solution,
Sir,
we should
education is
take it.
different,
Sir.
Yeah.
It's good that you've done LLB.
Yeah.
Tell me before LLB,
Yeah.
did you know so much about the law in
So
this?
that is why I am saying it. That is why I did LLB.
But everybody cannot do LLB, no sir.
Sir, you cannot do LLB now.
So problem come from your inside, na?
Sir.
You should feel motivated.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in this world,
I just
not
want to
you.
say something, sir. Unless you are sensitized to some problem, you will not have an intent of going and learning about it and then.
Sir, but
Yes,
I mean,
So
sir,
it is
then-
Every time in daily newspaper, full page advertisement on these issues. I have all those. So
Sir,
Are you not reading
I just-
newspaper?
Sir, may I put
Sir,
down
sir,
one question?
what type of-
Sir, I read about a road accident, I read about corruption, I read about rape.
So
What all would I
can-
sensitize myself to?
Everything.
Sir, nahi hai na possible, sir. We
That
have to be realistic.
means you need a separate doctors for this.
No, I'm not saying, sir, I'm not.
It is just
Sir,
one,
MBBS
it is
का
just one
availability
part
is
of the
separate.
awareness. There are four
Sir,
things.
what I'm saying-
Community, law, legal.
That is why
So
I
it is
said,
just one part
स्कूल
of-
लेवल सारे चाइल्ड कवर हो गए ना, और वहाँ पे पेरेंट टीचर कंपलसरी मीटिंग हो, वहाँ पे एक डिस्कशन हो, कम्युनिटी कवर हो गई ना भाई. मल्टी UGC has framed booklet on this, it should be implemented, but that is framed, is that implemented? So social audit is important, कि whatever the law at whatever level it is made, whether it is implemented or not. So why this social audit is not?
100%.
NGO, they can play a great role in this. Every hospital should in contact with these NGO. They will come forward, solve your problem, your time, and they will manage the funds.
Sir, the problem with the law is the enforcement जो है law का. अभी there are problems with the NGOs themselves. There are so many NGOs. If you see last 1 year's report,
Mhm.
maximum child NGOs, they are the most places where the sexual abuse or
But
child
that
abuse
was-
So,
is
but
organized.
once it comes to the notice,
Most high risk area is the NGO itself for child abuse.
उससे तो
उसमें
आप
सर-
देखो इस बार की
उसमें law
NCR की
changes
रिपोर्ट 60% केसेस ऑफ चाइल्ड अब्यूज बाय देयर नो.
90.
उस फैमिली में कैसे आप बचा?
90%.
यहाँ तो मोरलिटी वाली बात आ गई ना. एवरीबॉडी शुड बी मोरली कॉन्शियस, बट कहना बहुत इजी है, इन्फोर्स करना बहुत
Sir,
difficult
तो
है.
ultimately फिर तो
That's
कुछ भी नहीं होगा
what-
अगर ऐसा किया
So
तो।
you are saying about the sensitization of child and making them aware at the school level. At the same time, when something happens, when they meet the medical health practitioner, they should be aware of these problems so as to recognize and inform the law enforcement.
It's a very-
आपने बहुत अच्छा कहा.
So, of
But
course-
just tell me which authority should be made accountable to make doctors aware. Just let me answer that solution of that problem.
No, that's not answer.
To whom you are saying he should be made accountable?
That
That
is
is why I am
it.
saying कि medical education unit department of medical college, which is mandatory. Every year MCI inspecting and they are seeing those minutes, what program they have organized and what stuff.
IM can do.
So that is why I am saying IMA is the NGO. So what IMA or specialist that associate, what they are doing?
But IM has
What
larger
folks are
body.
doing? This is the main problem of gynecologist. If you go by the word of lady doctor and expert, it is the gynecologist. So what folks are doing? It's here sensitization at our level, and the government cannot enforce this. हर एक के दिमाग में गवर्नमेंट नहीं घुस सकती है. We should be sensitive enough. Yes, this is our part. Or you should make कि हाँ, this is
Sir,
the.
आप मुझे एक बताइए, if you do this conference tomorrow, and if you do an ACLS conference or emergency medicine or intensive care conference, how many people will attend this?
Again, that depends upon the area of.
Exactly, sir. People, this is not their core area for physicians.
So for whom could this is to?
No, no, see-
Which we have to suggest. No?
See, this is not a core area of physicians. This is an additional area that they have to educate themselves, which they have lacked all through the whole medical legal aspect.
Now you are coming to the point. That's what I want to say. There is a Government of India recommendation. Every district should have 2 forensic medicine experts, because we have to segregate whose problem this is. Is it of gynecologist? It is of emergency physician, or it is of forensic
Sir,
medicine?
if you leave to specialist, it will never happen. We have to understand this is a huge problem. If we had the wherewithal, we would have specialists for everything. What we are talking about is at first level. इसको स्क्रीन करके इसका डिटेक्शन कैसे बढ़ाया जाए? हमको तो ये देखना चाहिए कि बिलो फिजिशियन लेवल हाउ वी कैन इम्प्रूव दिस स्क्रीनिंग. हम स्पेशलिस्ट लेवल तक जाएंगे तो स्क्रीनिंग कभी हो ही नहीं पाएगी. We
नहीं,
have to
general
create
physician ultimately बात हुई है
physicians
कि
से भी
those who
lower
are
level,
MBBS
we have to
doctor.
create awareness and like triage. If I look at triaging, earlier specialists were called to triage. A ICU specialist was called down to see who is more sick out of these patients. What will you do in a disaster scenario? Can an ICU guy come down and do that? And he will never have that mindset. Alright? So you have to create ways of even the groundmost level people doing the screening work. When it is needed ultimately to confirm whether there is a rape happened, no, and taking an expert opinion, it will come at second or third degree when that needs to be invoked. And that also in our country will be a huge challenge. But if we wait till there, this huge section of detection will go down. It will never be. So creating awareness at every level, and I think if as healthcare providers we don't accept that, we don't understand it, yeah, let's try and understand it more. Let's get more information how we can do
So
this.
for that purpose, what you want actually?
So now let's look at how do we create sensitization or how do we create awareness. So let's come back. So if we're talking about legal level, let's come to at the people who are enforcing law. How do we create the awareness about it?
We cannot say, for example, we can change ourselves. We cannot change everybody. What's the easiest thing which I हम कहें पुलिस वालों को, पुलिस वाले कहें डॉक्टर हों, तो बस होता रहेगा. This is one aspect which is recognized by everybody. Yes, everybody should be sensitized enough.
All of us.
But can health department
Okay, so
is enough to direct home ministry?
I'm not saying actually आप बाकी सब छोड़ दीजिए. Let's look at how can we sensitize the healthcare
Yes,
providers.
so come to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you should recommend for?
One
Sir, the
recommendation
thing
could be
is,
having.
once you have detected the problem, there has to be further things. So, like suppose
And
we
it will
develop
be
a screening
problem.
tool, we implement it throughout.
Yeah.
Okay, and consider around 5 years down the line,
Yes.
each and every healthcare provider involved in this country is screening. And now once he has done, there has to be further things. Think what we were discussing initially also. You're saying sir हम sensitive पुलिस को नहीं कर पाएंगे तो ये डिटेक्शन का फिर फायदा क्या होगा? Ultimately,
No, so that's
things
what
will
we are talking
Sir,
about.
We can't change the world.
Yeah, वही मैं
We can't change the world.
Right.
Right?
Change yourself.
We have to look at. That's why I said prioritize. What is your goal out of POXO?
No, so
Let's address
the
that.
goal is sensitizing, screening, improving the detection, and then the law enforcement agency.
That's what
We
I
are
said. So,
talking about.
अपने हाथ में क्या है? You know, we are from the emergency medicine forum, from the
No, but
medical
so
side.
what
What is
we
there
are-
in our hand?
What we are trying to say is we've got 3 or 4 professional groups here. Doctors, lawyers, police officers, whatever. All these professional groups have their own CMEs plus medical education units. At the MBBS level, what you're saying, make it mandatory, yeah, part of the
It is
curriculum.
mandatory.
But as
But
a
again,
part
on
of the
paper.
CME,
Private वाले
अभी वो तो आप सब
लिखा होगा।
पेपर पे ही है, but that's where you start and then you start. So just like for doctors, there are CME events. There was something recently that they said ethics have to be part of every CME.
Yes.
So if you're holding a day-long CME, there should be a session on ethics. So as a part of your revalidation or recertifying in 5 years with each medical council, it could be that you have spent a CME 2 points on medical legal stroke ethics aspect. And part of the medical legal CME curriculum for your 5 years would be all these laws. So that would be one way of bridging that gap. So yeah, because CMEs are being arranged, everybody has to arrange. But then from the council, medical council law and a local council law, there's an enforcement that as a part of your CME, as a doctor or as an institute, you have to conduct a CME on medical legal and ethics. Similarly, the lawyers will have their own body where they are doing CMEs. The police will be there, and government just has to say this has to be mandatory for that. So that could be one way. In the community in general is where you get the NGOs and you create awareness programs. That would be this one aspect. Then you move on to the next aspect is the screening tools. The screening tools in a private setup, in the 10% hospitals, it's quite easy. NABH change कर दो, JCI है, हो जाएगा. Other hospitals, how do we enforce that? Does it have to be a law or does it have to be some other mechanism? And most importantly, the government sector is reporting most of these. Government sector does not need the law, does not need anything. It needs resources. So part of the act will be that we'll strengthen the government emergency departments and other areas, keeping the councillors, keeping the tabs. So that would be your next aspect. Rehabilitation, and that will be after that. So that should be, so awareness, everybody agrees. The awareness is required in various groups. And your professional groups, that you make it for them. Education, right to education, that is for the children. Then the screening tools, I think Dr. Joshi has been saying, I think that is the most critical bit. And where it can be put very easily would be the NABH and JCI. But you have to look at the other hospitals, which are the 90%. How are we going to enforce it on that?
And in practical way, we can have one circular sending to the all hospitals as well.
इससे क्या होगा?
बहुत सारे आते हैं सब रख दिए जाते हैं. प्रॉब्लम तो यही है ना.
नहीं तो
मैं तो MCI का देख रहा हूँ.
resources
मेडिकल कॉलेज का एवरी ईयर इंस्पेक्शन होता है. and there is a lot checklist of every aspect, including the CME.
Sir,
but
The
we-
30 credit asked for every doctor is mandatory for re-registration.
Sir, but NPI only bothered about the medical schools, not about the private hospitals.
Okay, there are two aspects.
They are
Those should be made aware who are in the field.
Yeah.
And next, future
Private
generation.
hospital
Every
में
new doctor
accreditation
coming, they
है
should
और
be taken
doctors
care
का
of.
CME
Get them
है,
in.
will cover that.
Now,
For the
now at
medical
this
education.
point, there are two aspects. One, what you're saying, like, the younger generation getting sex. Now, if we start, say, even today, right away, it will take them 5 years to become doctors.
Yeah, but-
So they will be sensitized.
So
But
that
that
is
is
one
fine.
aspect.
But for the 5 years, so we have to be trained somehow.
Again,
So that
they
is
get
also-
sensitized. Suppose the MBBS student just passed out. He has to listen to you. If you are saying
Absolutely, I say like this is
So,
getting my use. What's the
क्योंकि
point?
मुझे पता है
So,
medical
that's
education
That
है।
has to be part of the CME, so we cannot start creating कि हर डॉक्टर को पकड़ के सिखाएंगे. That has to be, if it has to be mandated. it's part
It
of
is
the
mandatory actually, but
As a
again
part of the
mandatory
CME
but not
curriculum,
implemented.
something like that.
There is a mandatory 30 credit hours, CME should be attended by every doctor, and that certificate should go to the state medical council where you have been registered. After checking that, they will re-register, renew your registration, which is in every country, not in our country. On paper it is, but how many of you have that asked for re-registration? Few states have.
How many of them are
Few states, few states
I will give a
have.
parallel example. You know, we filed a trial in Supreme Court and got the SC guidelines for Good Samaritan. Law, right? From Civil Rights Foundation. Now, the guidelines have come from Supreme Court. They have to be followed. Can we expect that CMA education हो जाएगा? It is not possible. You have to spend money and effort. Now we realize after that thing came up कि यार हमने ये तो कर दिया. अब बड़ा होना चाहिए है कि अब इसको कैसे implement किया जाए.
देखिए मनी वाला
And
ना
where
पॉलिसी
is
इशू
the
है वो
money
गवर्नमेंट
to
डिसाइड
create
करेगी
awareness
और
of
वहाँ
this
प्रोसेस
also?
में है कि एवरी ईयर ऑफ सर्टेन परसेंटेज ऑफ जीडीपी विल बी गिवन टू द हेल्थ सेक्टर
Right.
बट
So
दैट विल टेक टाइम
But
दैट विल टेक टाइम
you can't wait.
बट इन द मीन टाइम वी कैन नॉट वेट फॉर
Sir, that's what I'm saying. So if you really want POXO to become at least a certain level of awareness, it is only this is Nirbhaya Act हो गया. Now I would say 6 out of 10 medical practitioners who are working in a reasonable hospital are aware about what is Nirbhaya Act. They call it media or whatever, they know about it and they also know what are the basic things that need. If the, one doctor does not, there will at least be somebody in that institution who will support. That change has happened in the last 10 years. That's because of lot of money was spent, lot of media visibility was given in creating awareness about this. There is no media visibility for this POXO law at all, if we honestly ask me. So these are the ways on how we can create the awareness, sensitization at different levels. We can't wait for the next 5 years. CME is largely to build up on your existing knowledge about what you've got. It's an added on tool. Very few times you get new knowledge coming out of CME. Only of this. ये तो पूरा ही नया है. All this existing generation never saw all of these things.
Like what you're saying, media actually, it will involve a lot of money. But what you're saying is true. Media awareness, if we use television particularly, if we those जैसे smoking के लिए रोज ऐड आता है कि smoking is injurious, alcohol is injurious, वैसा इसका ये आता है like जैसे ये इसका शो था अमिर खान का जो सबके में the first episode was really wonderful, second episode child abuse का था, so that gives like you get that awareness throughout, so it's like the community, the healthcare provider, the
But
law,
that's a good idea
all
that we can have
populations
small
are-
ads on TV like
Yeah.
we have with
They are
other child health
there.
also.
Yeah.
They are coming in that. Even
Good
do
touch, bad
this,
touch
that
की कितना
सब कुछ है बात वही नहीं है पर
So, but थोड़ा वही that will be the easier and the more faster way of
mass media is obviously faster one but again
But अभी भी
Are we listening
लगा
as a doctor?
टेलीविजन पे उत्तर बैठ का जो है वो हार्डली कभी दिखता है. If you see जैसे स्मोकिंग का तो हर एक मूवी के पहले वो दिखना ही है, तो यूटिलाइज तो सिनेमा दिस थिंग है, गवर्नमेंट मेक्स देम कंपल्सरी, दिस इज टू बी डिस्प्ले. सो इफ यू सी स्मोकिंग के लिए इट इज देयर विद ईच एंड एवरी मूवी, it comes around every hourly on each and every television channel. That can be a better idea of making awareness, and it will create awareness among all the 4 layers which we are speaking.
And as far as this law
And speak
goes,
about that law,
Even the
there is
parents
a law
or
for
any
this.
other parts of the society won't feel stigmatized.
So
after-
even if the doctor wants to deny,
Mhm.
the person, the victim and his parents, they know that there is a law. So even they can sue the doctor who's refusing to take action. But so this awareness, it should mention, oh, okay, there is Good Samaritan with the problem is yet I have not seen a single ad on any kind of
I'm telling you, no, we are struggling to get funds.
Yeah.
We raise the funds to fight the PIL for last 5 years. But this is a mammoth task.
Yeah.
When we go to most of the TV channels with this whole thing, you have all the corporates tied up for road safety campaign, etc., which are there, and they make big money out of doing those campaigns. But nobody is willing to further the cause of Good Samaritan. See, Good Samaritan say you can't have first page news, na?
Actually, I think you are aware of that CSR fund.
Corporate social.
उसमें amendment हो चुका है, health care include हो गया है.
Sir,
But again,
उनके
channelize that fund to your this particular
Sir,
purpose or anything.
Sir, but CSR का
Yeah.
भी utilization जो है ना, that is in a properly different way, which is more of a publicity. What he is saying, like it will CSR is used to get the first page highlights.
No, so the way people will catch on is once you make awareness about this.
Yeah.
If you make more awareness about it, some people will be willing to fund this whole story. If it is lying down under the wraps like this, it will never become important issue to get any significant funding other things.
I think one issue which you are you feeling comfortable with informing to the police if you are sure or even have suspicion? Are you comfortable?
No, sir, comfortable in the sense of we from our side are very comfortable in informing. The problem is from the recipient side.
So just not talking, police is not responsible, no?
Because see,
That's
I'll tell you,
we
that's what
made
happened
just
to
a
me. It is
recommendation
any
to the
medical legal case.
authority which is interested with enforcement, they are not sensitive.
Yeah, so the
So
problem.
this is not
this
our
is
problem.
only with-
We are comfortable with informing.
If you do MLC, that's all.
No, but they don't take MLC. Which area, this
No,
way.
no.
If I'm telling you, luckily my hospital has a different way. The previous hospital where I was, I had to personally inform the police on phone. Okay, and there are so many. The limit boundaries come. So there have been cases of a body lying on a bridge. The other side says that this body belongs to that area and the body belongs.
May
to
I
this area.
ask one question?
There should
Suppose
be-
any time you
whichever
have
police-
informed
the
police.
police station you call, they have to take this case and then they should decide where it has to be.
I'm giving solution to that. Whenever you call that police or inform whatever mode you have used, and you are sure that they are not responding, ever you tried to write a letter to the SSP or DM?
It has happened multiple times.
So what is the response of that?
Nothing, still the
Sir,
same. We have, in fact, the
sir, we had a
hospital already
meeting.
went up to the commissioner of police.
Okay.
There was a proper meeting for.
Are you in contact with any NGO or any person who is social activist?
Not really.
So if you try to find out any person and use RTI, on that you have written this letter in such number of cases, what action has been taken till date, inform that letter and copy to the Child Welfare Committee of district, you will find the difference.
Sir, no, there are certain social issues that what you said. Most of us are working in private hospitals. Already these private hospitals, they are being targeted by all these people for it. If we start fighting or doing
Again,
more and more.
fear in the mind of, that is why I am asking this question.
thing is, and plus, how much time can I spend out of my working hours?
So another thing again,
Because
why
see,
my
I-
manpower is less.
Hospital
You are having
takes
time
time.
constant.
No, problem is that I am working in a private hospital. If I take, I need to spend 10 days or 15 days for this.
Court.
Then is my court, it's a court thing. The thing you are saying, to meet a commissioner, to meet a SSP, to meet a NGO, spend my time, go and have.
Telephonically, email.
टेलीफोनिक कुछ भी नहीं होता सर टेलीफोन
भी-
एसपी को
time
सर आप
for
एसपी
calls.
इसमें कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस को आप फोन करके देखिए मुंबई का आपका फोन लगेगा
आप देखो आजकल मुझे लगता है कि मैं जिस
नहीं होता
एरिया
सर।
सबका फेसबुक पेज बना हुआ है पुलिस वालों का, और आप जस्ट यूज दैट ईमेल, just try at your level and keep those mail intact and collect a statistics of 2 or 3 months. Suppose in 3 months in this quarter you used through this email or telephone on this number of cases and there was no response from that.
Instead of
that will-
doctors following the what we come to police.
practically possible, sir.
Who will follow that?
But
Because
we
in a day, no, I'm not speaking about POSCO or child abuse, any general medical legal case. At least in a day, we see 5 to 6 medical legal cases. Consider of severe this thing. I'm not about the smaller.
Yeah.
Can I follow up daily?
Another solution which I am suggesting, there is a provision now digitalization of the whole judiciary. So there is that concept of video conferencing. Many states have implemented. Punjab has implemented. You need not to go anywhere. There is one room with all the facilities. You just approach that cell and they will have video conferencing. So your time will be saved. Even big hospital can have their own one room dedicated to that, and NIC will provide all the infrastructure support. It may take some time. So this problem will solve. Because most of the time doctors are avoiding these cases just to go to the court and get
I think we
humiliated.
have to limit the roles of the professionals. Like a doctor cannot.
So if we are doing this, what about the patient who's come at the time with the child?
And it also has to do with the reputation of the doctor.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Like
मैं concern what you saying video conferencing में मेरे हॉस्पिटल में एक वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग रूम अरेंज करने को बोलो या for this purpose feasible
नहीं, there is a funds formula where 1000 crore का फंड इसीलिए पड़ा हुआ है कि one stop
the fund तो सर सुनामी का भी फंड अभी तक पड़ा हुआ है
आइटम पड़ा हुआ है कि कौन उसको यूज करे. So I think
Sir, I have a small point
please,
to
please.
how much responsibility are we giving to the doctor?
So legally it is the doctor who is responsible.
Responsibility is to inform, not to implement.
No, but you should inform, no?
Yes, now what his point is that he is informing, but following up should not be his responsibility.
So for that social audit is important. कि ऑडिट होना चाहिए डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे या व्हाटएवर लेवल कि इतने केसेस में इंफॉर्मेशन हुई व्हाट हैपेंड आफ्टर दैट.
doctors are made punishable for not informing. The police officers
Your
are
duty is just to inform.
liable for not taking
Yeah.
action.
So,
And there is a provision for punishment for police officer also.
That
बट
is
ये जो
there.
सोशल ऑडिट होगा हॉस्पिटल में से तो वही उसका पूरा फॉलोअप होना चाहिए कि यहाँ से इतनी केसेस ये रिपोर्ट हुई थी कहाँ पे रिपोर्ट बिकॉज वी मेंटेन दैट रिकॉर्ड कि किस पुलिस स्टेशन पे कौन पर्सन था वो इन केस अगर वो उसने दिया है तो उसके बाद उसका आगे जाके क्या होगा अगर ये
Ultimately, it is the child welfare committee which are looked after by judicial person. They are taking action against them. They have been trusted. There are many PIL, at least in Allahabad High Court, and they have given instruction to all the concerned authorities. So,
CWC actually takes care of all this because
Yeah.
they have issued guidelines on POXO Act itself, so they are a good forum
yeah,
to
to implement that. But again, there is need for coordination with the CWC and the health care providers.
We have to be aware regarding that. Awareness is important.
Awareness, so we have discussed a lot about this awareness. Obviously, it is lacking.
But as he also pointed out, like say a circular from CWC coming to all the hospitals. Like every doctor knows that see medical legal case this. If anything comes, I have to fill in this form, inform the concerned police. Can't CWC send across a circular to all hospitals saying this act is there, which has been implemented and so on so here. These are the points. You need to implement this as early as possible. So given a timeline within 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is. And then do a follow-up later on to find out whether this is happening or not.
PCATT का ऑडिट हो
Yes.
each and every now
No, ultimate answer comes from the audit, whether a police officer or hospital.
But this thing
but
is
at
that
least to people to
CWC is
know.
auditing. Like we have to find that.
Audit will be much later. First of all, at least let the hospitals be aware that such an act is there. Frankly speaking, I was not really, I knew that something is there. What it was, I came to know because I'm here. So, it's basically, say, a circular coming to the hospital, to the community. Now, all hospitals, as far as I understand, they do take all legal papers very seriously. So, if that comes in, they immediately will come running to the emergency person who is this, you are the first person of contact. Or say, even for that matter, a pediatric OPD. अब चाइल्ड मिट की ब्रॉड किसको पेट में दर्द होता है इस बच्ची को for the last 2 months, nothing has been found.
No, but I'm really amazed that doctors really don't know that they have to mandatorily report it.
That is the
reality.
reality.
Because that is not part of curriculum. What doctors curriculum
See,
is
like we
everything.
passed quite early, so 2012 में act बना है. And what were CMEs or
Because why I'm saying amazed because it makes you a convict.
So that's the problem. See, as soon as it comes, if you're not doing this, you are liable for it. It will automatically get implemented.
The way PCNDT was formulated and it has been implemented. So now even a single owned radiology clinics. They have A and B. So something that at that level the way
There are so many bigger issues.
I think, see, basically, in the ideal world, yes. How many years it took to reach it there? Right, so you have to take baby steps. You have to only get smarter and reduce your evolution time. Learning from PNBT, you can probably reduce the 10-year journey to 5-year journey. But the problem is that we don't learn about that.
Yes.
So where is the first thing about the PNBT? There are various ways of creating awareness. The biggest awareness came out of doctors being held accountable.
Yes. When
Till the time they were not held accountable, it was always taken easy. Nobody was serious about it. When their machines started getting locked, when everything started getting locked, that's when now associations are fighting their cause. But associations did very little to create awareness about this initiative, right? So one is you create various ways of creating awareness, and it's a continued process.
Yes.
It cannot be one time and it cannot be one level. Basically, it has to be top down and bottoms up. Both need to be done from community level and to enforcement agency. They all have to try various means of it. Secondly, once you have done this awareness, you need to check what is this level of awareness within the people. Find tools of doing that awareness. You do either interviews or you do questions or you do certain, CME sessions which are specific to that institution and create a record, etc. Or just a survey across the institution. Like we did 10 years ago, I did a survey on disaster preparedness of hospitals. Do you have a disaster plan? Was a simple question in that. 7 out of 10 leading hospitals in Hyderabad did not have a disaster plan.
It is mandatory. Every
It is
hospital should
mandatory,
have.
right? So the way you do it is by creating audits, etc., and check whether the awareness is improved.
So
The other
review, I
indirect
think,
way of checking the awareness is, has your detection improved or not? Awareness, yeah, but what is the end result? If I am doing awareness at the wrong level of people, say for example, I spend a lot of resources in creating awareness with pediatrician and gynecologists, and I don't do it with the casualty medical officers and emergency department doctors, there is no way your detection will improve. It has to be done to the front-facing people who are going to be first time seeing these patients. So, creating awareness should also result in improved detection. Improved detection, how do you measure? Again, by doing audits, looking at medical records.
I'll little bit on this aspect. What is the social aspect or political aspect on this issue? Say for example, take example any government which is sensitive enough on this issue, and they are every tier is aware of that. With that result, there is a increased reporting. When the number comes, either NCB, RB report, or everybody is behind that government कि देखो कितना crime बढ़ गया. It is not due to actual crime, happened new crime. It is reporting. So they are on defensive. Say for example, जो पुलिस वाले क्यों नहीं करते हैं? क्योंकि they are accountable. अच्छा आपके केस में जितने केस रिपोर्ट हुए. So यहाँ पे maturity level बढ़ना चाहिए voters का भी कि if NCRB reporting 34,000 cases of rape, which is how many number of percentage from previous year, it is not. It is failure. It is actual sensitization. That is why. So we must be aware of this.
A parallel example of that is needle stick injuries in hospitals, right? Everybody was reporting 0.
Is it possible?
Because there was no awareness.
Yes.
So in fact, and I am telling this, when we went through the first JCA audit, this was the first audit in the country, and we presented 0 with a lot of pride. So the auditors laughed at us and saying, such a big hospital, how can you have a 0 needle stick injury incident? That means
No patients.
your mechanism of
Failure.
reporting incident. You have not created a culture of reporting, or your culture is to find somebody responsible to blame him for that rather than encouraging that person to report. So these are all part of maturity cycle. Initially this will happen. The reactions will be like this, right? The reaction will be like this कि यार पिछले साल तो कम था इस साल कैसे बढ़ गया?
So, yes.
Okay. But that actually is a positive sign when you are seeing that the increased detection.
That is why I
will only
quoted that
happen.
example. Many governments are defensive. अरे
पर
election
maturity
face
तो
करना
government से
है
चाहिए ना।
तो फिगर कम कर
So,
दो.
but ये तो वही होने वाला है। ये तो ऐसा ही था because the government will change, the party
नहीं पर अगर public become mature कि नहीं.
public maturity का
Government maturity चाहिए ना
From
public.
that, when education. Yes, education will play a role. Na?
So it's a much broader spectrum than
Yes,
just.
everything is interlinked. You cannot say कि इस problem को ले और solve कर
Sir,
सकते हैं.
that's why the first, we come to the good point here, we have to have awareness in all the sectors together.
वो हो गया. That's what is taken care. कि there is need for awareness, and again, who will be made aware from their fund that is needed to be explained. I have given one suggestion कि medical education department of medical education.
See, they don't have to segregate the levels. कि इनका awareness अलग करो, इनका awareness करो. That will make awareness throughout all the layers of the population.
Now, technically speaking, see, this holds us accountable. If we are not reporting, we are liable to be punished for that. Once this comes into the paper from CWC to the hospitals, automatically the sensitization will happen. Yeah, it might take years together, or maybe, we do not know how much time it will take, but at least it should begin. Rolling the ball is what we need at this moment, breaking the inertia. Once that is done, then we can, improvise on the ways how we want to sensitize the faculty. Yes.
Sir, you want first the doctors to be punished and then it has.
No, it's not that
It
punishing.
is automatically punished तो होगा ही. Automatically कभी भी हो सकता है. तो
See, I myself-
by chance क्यों बचा हुआ?
I do not want to get punished.
That's
That's
right,
about,
that's right.
See, as far
In the
as
PCMT Act, it is happening.
Exactly.
In the PCMT Act, it is happening that the doctors are getting punished.
Punished.
Now
Yes,
people are
now-
getting aware.
Exactly.
So deterrence comes from
intention
that
is absolutely
enforcement.
not that if I'm not reporting, I should be punished. I myself am a doctor and I'm working in the emergency. I would not want to get punished.
Yes.
But it's basically if you want to sensitize. It's not that say the first month only nobody has reported, so punish all the doctors. That should not be the case. It has to be in a much mature way. Exactly. It has to
be there.
Yes. At
Not
least.
only that, HIV/AIDS, where there is no lack of fund and lot of awareness in the form of every year word.
So, but I tell you
But
how
again,
judiciary sees it. Judiciary says that ignorance of law is no excuse.
no excuse.
Exactly. So that is
So,
more important.
if you
But
don't.
that is philosophy.
No,
But
no, that is
but
not philosophy. that
Suppose
is
they are not
happening.
ignored.
That
They are
happens.
ignored. But what happened to them? If they are not punished, they will not bother.
No, but that's not.
They cannot be
philosophy.
I
punished.
understand.
There
Now,
are many
if
cases
suppose
that-
there's a case which comes to my hospital, I do not know about this law.
Hmm.
It was a sexual
Yeah,
abuse
yeah.
and the patient goes and puts a complaint and then law holds me कि आपने क्यों नहीं report किया? I'll say I don't know it, but that is not an excuse for me.
That's not-
So let us not push the doctors to that level. Send across a circular. After that, if something happens, then obviously. Now, frankly
Even as
speaking,
soon as this act comes into picture, a circular has to be released along with this act.
absolutely. So
that
let us. We are already 4 years.
Even a survey can be conducted by those who are authority to all the
It cannot be
hospitals.
a one-time action for
Yeah.
every or for a country which is actually. It has to be followed up with series of steps. Say for example, let's look at GST today. You think small and medium-sized guys know what is GST?
No, I think
Do you know they will know in the next 4 years what is GST? Even educated people like you and me do not know about GST. We pay all sales tax, VAT, etc. on every hotel bill and other things. What is the law telling about it? Are they supposed to charge it? Yes or no? All these cafes or malls which they charge 3 times the water bottle, what does the law say? Law says they should not be charging beyond MRP. But you and me are paying.
But
Every single day.
they are paying. There are many clubs or
We are
they
paying.
are charging for
The
amount.
fact is, there are things which are of law, which you and me, they are not impacting us so much on a day-to-day thing, so we don't care. And secondly, where it is a monetary issue and we are doing reasonably good, it doesn't matter to me. In the same manner, if my work is as a doctor and I have to handle accident, trauma, pneumonia, etc., where is my priority for POXO?
Exactly.
It doesn't come. Somebody has to
No,
make an
I
addition.
am saying priority because this is I just tried to save you guys because if you are not aware of POXO, then the consequences are really bad.
I agree 100%, and it's not just this. You have the Permanent Katara guidelines.
No, since
Okay,
1989.
हम सब emergency medicine में practice कर रहे हैं. What is the option we have today? The option is not to practice emergency medicine because who is going to finance?
Yeah.
I get a salary from the hospital, and if I put a patient in that private hospital where the patient's bill is 10 lakh rupees, who will pay for that? Where is the funding mechanism for that?
That is why I am added economic.
There is no funding mechanism, and we copied this blindly from EMTALA from US. More than 40% emergency departments shut down because there was no funding mechanism for emergency departments under that law. Law was created,
And now after 10 years, they are re-looking at that whole entire law. I will be talking in the plenary session on this talk. So what I am saying is, law is at one side, unless you sensitize people about it. Because ultimately, if citizens have to obey the law, how do you make it? You have to first frame a law which is citizen friendly. Secondly, you have to create awareness about that law. Third, you have to find corrective ways of seeing if the behavior is changing or not by doing recurrent audits. कि जो पहला behavior था उससे is it changing or not? And it cannot happen on day one. Law frame हो गया. We are saying that you are not supposed to cross the signal in this country when it is on red.
Even though
Law तो है. सबको पता
deterrent
है.
effect is not there until somebody is punished or.
It's not a comprehensive thing, and I think
very right you are saying, but what you are talking about is the law which is related to public. What we are talking about right now is the law which is related to medicine. The medical legal issue when involved, what we can do, one suggestion is, we can do walk of the patient. That is, a patient can be brought in emergency for the doctor, and the doctor has to recognize it. And it is an imaginary patient. That is a patient who complains the imaginary thing that I have been sexually abused as a child.
And this is to create what? To create awareness.
This
To
is
train people.
This is to train people.
Which is part of sensitizing, creating awareness, doing training. There are various ways of training. One of what you are talking is actor-based simulation to create this. These are various tools that you can use, but fundamental aim is what? We are trying to create awareness about this whole story within the system. Once the awareness is created, next step comes, if now a patient walks in, what are the 10 steps that you are supposed to do? Do you have this written? When you do simulation, you have 10 critical checklist points that you need to check in any encounter that you are doing with the patient.
Yes.
Today, that is not existing for OXO in our country. So that's what we are recommending, that you create standardized protocols or guidelines. First is to suspect. Once you have suspected, now how do I screen him? At the end of which I can say this is high suspicion, low suspicion, no suspicion at all for sexual abuse. If it is high suspicion, am I qualified to say a final diagnosis? Even in US, the emergency physician is not qualified to say a final diagnosis. There has to be a child abuse specialist who is involved into this. Who's the child abuse specialist who will be there with the organization to say that yes, this qualifies as a high risk, and probably the final diagnosis in this case is this. So that's the next step. Once you have done the awareness leading to detection or suspicion now going into the case assessment based on tools, then stratifying high risk, intermediate risk, low risk, or discharging. On what basis could you discharge the patient when you suspected initially abuse? Then you did 1, 2, 3, 4 screens, came to a conclusion, this is not showing anything, therefore this is not. So can I discharge it on my own? I still need a specialist intervention into that. And once you created those protocols, guidelines, then you do ways of training, which was done across for Nirbhaya Act, right? Government actually created nodal training officers, brought in doctors from public and private hospitals, went through workshops in training, what is actually a
Every
rape
time
kit
we
and
can't
how.
wait for such events to happen, no?
No, we are learning from
This
that
is
event and
working from there,
implementing
no?
that.
You have to work towards it, that's what I am telling. So these are the steps that you will have to take to create one awareness, second how to you form a standard way of assessing and managing the patient once he presents to the emergency department. And then you do what he's been telling, audit. कि ये करने के बाद में what is the effect? Has the detection improved? Have our risk stratification improved? ये सब हमारे हाथ.
So one thing I want to understand, one thing is clear that awareness, then auditing, then third is this punishment. So why this punishment has come? See, the offense is grave, we understand. But are the doctors not reporting that this punishment has come? Like, I just want to understand why this is so stringent. Like, why?
डॉक्टर्स को पता ही नहीं ना, तो रिपोर्ट कैसे करें?
First thing they are not aware. If they are aware, they have fear. If they were upon authority will penalize them.
वो बोल रही कि ये criminal punishment है,
But
तो
I-
why we are not
No,
aware.
I'm not saying that. I'm
Appeal
saying that
against.
why this is made punishable. Like, the law has made it punishable. Why? Because doctors are not reporting it. Is it because?
It's a deterrent.
Yes,
It's a
because doctors are
deterrent.
not reporting.
But it's a
It is
deterrent.
why they are not reporting?
Next
That's
question.
why I want to understand.
Because they are not aware.
No, it is a separate issue.
So this
That
punishment, this punishment is a
There
deterrent.
is chances
huh?
of manipulation, destruction of evidence in which the doctor can play a role, in
Yeah.
which he can hide the crime, and then he becomes a party.
Agreed. So one of the
So
things
fear of
is
that
that he has a medical legal
trial
fear in
and
his mind.
Court and.
So there are various factors why which doctors are not reporting.
No, what she is saying, the ma'am is
You are saying is,
why it is
why it has
punishable?
become a punishable offense,
Why
are
it-
doctors not
so-
reporting?
so-
I am saying yes, and I am telling you what are the various reasons why
Yeah,
doctors are not
yeah,
reporting.
that's what I want to
First and
understand.
fundamental thing is they are not aware, let's accept it, most
First
of the
thing.
people are not aware. Second, if they are aware, why then they do it, there are no enough resources to make this happen. If you say, leave aside the resources saying ki yaar, as an individual, the court is not going to say whether you are counsel or not. Did you suspect, yes or no? Can I do it? Yes. The question is, he should be doing it, he cannot wait for resources to be done. The next thing is, once he is done is, he is not convinced today if he detects, what will be the next steps? Will police cooperate with him, with the law enforcing agencies, will the family cooperate with him? Is there similar level of awareness within the other stakeholders there, yes or not? Now, if that is also there, he is now worried about, yeah, मैंने इसको intermediate suspicion question डाल दिया, कल को अगर negative हो गया तो will it backfire to me on the community or from the law side, etc. If there are a lot of political interference in all of these high impact cases where evidences are manipulated, etc. The whole preservation of evidence in this needs a lot of systematic thing to be done. Our organizations have to come up to that level. Most of our institutions do not have a rape kit available, comprehensive rape kit available for
Sir,
even adult sexual
try
abuse.
to understand, when we want to work as a doctor, first we are a citizen of India, right? So it is our moral responsibility to report a crime. Either we are a doctor, we are a nurse, we are working, and we receive a person who has been victimized of crime, right? Now the doctor can work for the law and against the law. If the doctor is working for the law and he does not do something due to laziness, then it becomes a case of negligence. When the doctor works against the law, either it is illegal organ trade, either it is illegal identification of sex of the fetus, either it is not reporting a case of rape, either it is not reporting a case of POXO, child sexual abuse, then he is doing against the law. So it is not something that has to be spoon fed. It is, he is the citizen of India, he has to know, and in the information technology right now, everything is available on Google. If you have a case, you search on it, what does the Indian law says? You don't require anything to be taught.
डॉक्टर्स के लिए भी है।
Because once you are MBBS, the code says that in MBBS there was a subject of forensic medicine and toxicology in which all the Indian laws were taught to you. So they don't assume, they assume that you are knowing about it. So we have to be prepared.
No, but the laws
Yes,
they
sir.
do change.
The law.
And secondly, what you
See,
say.
when I passed MBBS, this law was not there.
Sir, that is very right. But since you are having a license to practice, so it
Yeah.
is your responsibility to attend.
Say
the
for
court.
example,
We
I'm
are
just
saying
clarifying on
we are
this
saying
this
the
point.
both things.
When you
both
did
the
M-
rights to tell, telling the same thing, right?
few times, that's all. When you did MBBS, there are many medicines which were not taught in pharmacology. Is it true?
Yes.
Do you know latest medicine or not? From where motivation
Sir,
comes?
that's what, sir, but.
Similar situation
Sir,
with the law.
no, sir,
No,
you
sir.
can, in your core areas as a physician, you will make an additional effort to keep up to date with
That
your
is my
knowledge.
वो तो मैंने बताया,
I think we-
structure is there.
These are areas which will largely be non-core areas hitherto. Culturally, for most of the doctors, dealing with sexual assault cases was never a core subject most of the time. It was one of the sideline subjects. Now that this has become a mainstream issue, there has to be an additional effort to sensitize people. And what you are telling is probably the same thing. What we are looking at is why doctors don't do it. One is ignorance. Ignorance of the law. I asked this question to all of them at the start also, including myself. Till 15 days ago, I didn't know details about POXO Act. I didn't even know the full form of POXO Act. And it's a fact. We can't run away from it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make, one is for the government. So as an individual, if I am worried about law, I will do it. My peers or my institution where I work, if they are very conscious about the law, then that will happen. Then you have a professional societies or bodies which will have to work on creating about awareness about this whole story. And then will come the next level about the law enforcing agencies. But this will have to go through levels. Any new law, you'll have to sensitize people. It's a very similar thing about the helmet rules. है law है सबको पता है, but all of us disobey this law on a given basis because this is what we have been doing for years together, and we take chance with that every single day.
So, but once a person breaks the law and he is caught, he learns all the law by
For a deterrent.
that is one aspect of this. The second thing is, if we take the responsibility to work, if we take the responsibility of our juniors, if we are running a hospital, then it is a hospital liability also to train all the people who are working here. It is not just the doctor, it is the nurse. The first person who comes in contact with the patient is mostly the nurse, and then the doctor. So everybody has to be sensitized, everybody has to be trained, and it is not the government which will take the responsibility for training all. It is the individual organizations, the hospitals, the senior people who are knowing, like we are knowing right now. So we have to take the responsibility to generate the awareness.
So we discussed this earlier, that you will have to create, what is important out of this is that we all must not run away from the fact that most of the healthcare providers are also not aware about this.
So
Just
this is-
because we are
we have
doctors,
45 minutes left. So we should come to some positive point. One is lack of awareness at all level, especially in the medical sector.
Second, sir, being
Second.
involved in the medical legal process. So in general, like I have attended certain court of the same. For a single case, which was again a very high potential case in Mumbai, each and every newspaper used to cover that. I had to spend 3 days because whenever I used to go there, then it's just the next day is finished. So what happens with this is, okay, this might be a reason for person not going ahead.
That reason actually I want to look at.
Yeah.
Is there any fear or
No, it's not
inconvenience?
fear, sir. It is sometimes, it is both fear
Impracticality
plus
of the whole thing.
the waste of time.
Sir,
Because one
So
of my juniors came all the
ultimately,
way from
again,
Bangalore.
who is the expert?
Sir,
Who
nahi.
is comfortable? Forensic medicine person are
Sir, nahi.
most of the time comfortable with dealing with
Time
police
का-
or judiciary because they know the
Sir,
technical.
but time का आप सुनिए, there has to, when there is a case, like when you stand in court, you might have done so many times. Just next day to वो ऐसा देते हैं जैसे लोग टाइम पास के लिए आए.
बस मैं यहीं पे आंसर आपको देना चाहता हूँ. आपने परमानेंट कटारा केस पढ़ा है, कॉपी है आपके पास में?
कॉपी तो नहीं,
बस यहाँ प्रॉब्लम है कि आपने अगर वो पढ़ा होता उसका रिप्रेजेंटेशन हाई कोर्ट का जिस स्टेट में वो रजिस्ट्रार को दिया होता, यू विल गेट द आंसर एंड सॉल्यूशन टू दैट. और उस जजमेंट में ये लिखा है कि ये दिस जजमेंट शुड बी पब्लिश्ड इन ऑल द जर्नल्स उस समय, और हर रजिस्ट्रार के पास होना चाहिए, सब ऑर्डिनेट कोर्ट के पास, और उसमें एनफ है ये कि डॉक्टर शुड नॉट बी अननेसेसरी कॉल्ड इन द कोर्ट, शुड नॉट बी अननेसेसरी वेट फॉर दैट रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ एविडेंस.
बट ये मुंबई कोर्ट में मेरा खुद हुआ है, एक मेरे जूनियर को, ही ऑल द वे केम फ्रॉम बैंगलोर टू अटेंड दिस कोर्ट केस. पहले दिन पुलिस का फोन आता है उसको, ही ट्रैवल्स ऑल द वे, सुबह आता है, बोले नहीं वो अपोजिट का वाला जो
नहीं आ रहा
है, वो नहीं आ रहा है.
So this is the way how they are manipulating, ना?
He was not having leave. All the way he again went back. And now next day, मेरे साथ 3 बार हुआ. तो opposition, I was waiting in court for 4 hours because the opposition lawyer was dealing with another case in the nearby. And then 4 hours I'm just sitting there waiting because this government lawyer, he took my version. The opposition first lawyer came after 4 hours. Then I was waiting again another 3 hours, waiting for the second lawyer to come. And then ultimately, when I come at 5 o'clock in the evening and ask this police person, what is that? No, अरे आप तो चले जाओ ना, उन्होंने वो आपका first वाला version accept कर दिया.
नहीं, but this problem will be solved through the video conferencing, ना? That is in process. That is in
वही तो
process.
मैं हमने पूछा.
आपका टाइम भी बचेगा, आपको कहीं नहीं जाना है.
That is not an excuse for us to not report the crime.
No,
One thing is that
we try to avoid
once we have committed ourselves to work in emergency medicine, the emergency medicine is the gateway, the medico-legal gateway of a hospital, where all the medico-legal cases enter. Either it is a case of gunshot,
I'm not
either a
telling
case
this
of
as an
poisoning.
excuse for not.
Or
I'm
a
telling
second.
this can be one of the
This is one of the problem, one of the reasons for not-
If our judicial system is being faster in such a way, at least where a medical legal case is there, they are being faster, then I think the reporting will increase. I'm not saying that I am going to deny.
Sir, try to understand the similar scenario. If you go in UK, they mark an appointment for surgery
Yeah.
after 6 months.
That's
Waiting for that time for 6 months. Even in the same way, there was a case reported in AIMS. In AIMS, they were given 2.5 years. They have to wait for the surgery. It was an urgent surgery of the brain, but they were advised. So it is the lagging of time, the weightage has to be borne by every citizen of India. It is not just the doctors who are
That's what I'm
suffering from
saying.
it.
When you are practicing,
Sir,
I'm being a job.
If you look at practical things, right, what deter things? You know, we should not assume that when somebody is talking, we are trying to say that we will not do this. The intent is to, I'll give you one of the basic problems is added documentation. Additional documentation becomes the first deterrent for people to report medical legal cases. As simple as that. Okay? So that documentation or that tool has to be very crisp, or it should be digitized, so that like medical legal documentation now, few hospitals have started doing digital medical record soft copy of this. So that is one area to look at. How do you improve the documentation? Once you increase. Secondly, how do you facilitate the coordination between law enforcement agency and the clinical practitioners to ensure that this is carried forward and not dropped there. So that means it should not just be an awareness at the medical level, also the other authorities which are involved in this. Like I was telling to you about this rape patients being transferred from private to public. So at one time, after this whole thing happened, just after the Nirbhaya incident, we did not transfer, we called the police guys. So after 10 minutes, police guys took him to public hospital.
No, mindset
So it's a mindset issue, right? So sensitization is lacking at those levels also. So one is coordination between the other enforcement agencies which will be working in the hospital to ensure that people don't get demotivated to report the next day. The other important thing why people do not report is there are a lot of social factors that come in. A couple of those things that he was talking about. The person who is causing this problem is the sole breadwinner. Why पैर पकड़ लेती है डॉक्टर के, डॉक्टर साहब कुछ मत करिए. It's a very similar thing when we used to get patients with young guys with not earning money, have an insurance cover and they have alcohol positive. What do you do ethically in this patient? He cannot, he needs surgery. If I put alcohol onto this thing in his medical legal report, he will not get this claim at all. Now what do I do in this situation?
So, but we have to think of the future of the person who has suffered. If he has suffered, if a person has suffered the sexual assault in his childhood, if you leave the person with the same guy who has assaulted, then what you can think can happen. In the same way, if a person who has taken alcohol and he was driving and you allow the insurance to cover, he will drink again. That will not stop the crime.
Sir, I agree 100%. ये आप और मैं यहाँ बैठे इस वक्त ये डिस्कस करना बहुत आसान है. In reality, when you are handling that patient right that point in time, these are challenges. I have faced patients who come with heart attack. This patient is having ST elevation, he is getting recurrent ventricular ectopics. What do I do for this patient? Who doesn't have resource. Now I give him thrombolysis by giving 4,000 rupees from my pocket. He bleeds inside the brain. What happens? What happens? So by law, I should not have done anything. Leave him to government hospital to just transport him with sorbitol and aspirin tablet. We cannot disconnect the human side of medicine with law. And if we do this, we will be going American way. This will be a medical legal short country. It will not. We do not want to encourage unlawful behavior. But at the same time, there are
three aspects we should keep.
So we should be empathetic. We should not be sympathetic to the patient. That is what is required. I have faced a similar case like you are sharing. We received last month a case in which a patient came with chest pain, right? And he was lying on bed, and we shifted, we got the ECG, which was from another hospital, which was showing some acute changes in the ECG, suggestive of acute MI, but it was not STEMI, and there was TROP T was positive. And when the patient was shifted, there was a blood stain on the bedside. We log rolled the patient and we found a gunshot in the back. And he was having a medical, and he said that I don't want to report the bullet. I want to get admitted as a case of acute MI. I have brought the ECG and I have brought the test report. And you have to do it like this only. We said we will report it, and patient has just not, it didn't finish here only. Then the patient was investigated, further examined. He found a weakness on left side, which was acute stroke. So there were 3 organs were involved. Now we have to decide first what to save. There is a bleeding due to that. There is a stroke, which is ischemic stroke due to thromboembolic shower, and there is ECG changes. Then we called all the specialists on the side of the patient, and then the patient was first, a chest drain was put in the patient chest to drain the hemothorax, and then the patient, after hemostasis, we proceeded for giving heparin to dissolve the brain clot, and there was no changes in the heart, echo was normal. So that's how the patient presents. Patient wants, according to his knowledge, he has a medical claim and he wants to be covered as well.
This is
But
something different you are saying. See, it's not each and every case you have to think of. But just imagine what, as he told, there is a patient who has a stain and he's just a smoker. Okay, so when we ask, he has a history of smoker, but if you put this, and he is the only breeder, if in STEMI you do
These
not
are
breed
factors
him.
which
That's
put you in a
what you are
situation
telling is
where, now
okay,
this is
you are
not,
committing a
if you
crime.
write a smoker,
Yeah, that
regarding
will
not
be
get no, it can be challenged in the court of law. Many times the court has permitted, because the smoking isn't the only risk factor for causing acute STEMI. There are many other risk factors. So it is always challenged in the court.
Suppose there are 2
ज्यादा
hospitals.
कौन है सर?
One is-
ये पहले तो हार्ट अटैक से आके अभी कोर्ट में कहा जाएगा.
नहीं sir, there are cases in which they have been reported. It is not something we have to support
वो
at
आप
the
जो बोल
medical
रहे हो
level.
ना,
आपका
बात
अनुभव
नहीं,
So,
इसीलिए इसका है, उसका
if you-
ठीक है. There are again
What I am broadly saying, doc, is कुछ social factors होते हैं which
play a role.
inhibits.
That's
That's the point that I am trying to make. There are social factors. There are collaboration with these law enforcement agencies. The third one was what in terms of sorry.
Politics.
political.
If there's a political angle, again, it's a social factor.
Tampering of evidence could be one of the important things. Fear of alteration of medical records or tampering of the evidence, which could be one of the factors which acts as deterrent for people to report. Documentation is one of the other important factors which acts as deterrent. And also it could just be the institutional prestige. Institutional prestige at stake into having such kind of crime or incidents being
But
picked
when
up.
high level official or some corporate leader, he is involved as a criminal. Obviously everything gets.
But we can think in a way that POCSO Act नहीं आता जब उससे पहले भी तो sexual crimes होते थे. The children, how they were managed before, we have to think of. It is not something which is, the crime has started just 2 years back or 4 years back and we are not knowing about it. We have to think कि crime तो कब से चल रहा है. It is going on since long. Now we have a law to regulate it. So we should be happy that we have now got a law to regulate it, to make the punishment possible for the person who has done the crime.
See,
So the whole point of discussion is law again, will it actually change what has happened for so many
So
years?
the
Your
thing-
point is
we are
very
not-
right.
ultimately.
Your point is
Now
right.
when you get
पहले भी
down-
होता था, अब law
अभी
है.
हो रहा है. तो
इसमें
क्या
कुछ फर्क है या नहीं?
Does it make any
It
difference?
was covered in the section of 376. It was covered.
We discussed it. You covered था, but अभी आपने specific law लाया, इससे क्या फर्क पड़ेगा?
But right.
पड़ रहा नहीं
कैसे
है.
पता चलेगा?
Sir,
वही gap है.
And
That's the whole
then
gap.
find out the reasons.
That's the whole gap.
They have broadened the definition of sexual assault. They have broadened the definition. It is not just the
Hey, यार वो सारा law we
art,
discussed
the
all the elements of POCSO at the start. We discussed all of that.
See, the thing is what what I am contemplating, I may be wrong. If we are not against the law, so we are not saying we are not going to practice. Only how it
How do
will
we
be
bring-
smoother
how do we
for
bring
our
the change?
implementation.
How do
What
we
I-
get this to
you are
implementation level of
because
the
they are
policy?
Very right.
So
so
then-
we are not willing to follow.
Any-
We are very much willing to follow, but only our concern is that when we are practicing it on the grounds, it should be a easier way. Means we should not get stressed up. कि ऐसा नहीं लगे कि साला ये लॉ आके मेरी जिंदगी में परेशानी हो गई है,
That is the
बच्चे
fear.
की जिंदगी क्या हो रही है पता नहीं, लेकिन and if it is not going to change the outcome, then the law is of no use.
No use.
So what we had discussion initially also was first awareness among our ourselves in the sense अभी यहाँ पे जो है उनको तो है but बाकी
और
throughout. So it may be just a very small 5,000 का population वाले गांव में जो एक GP practice RMP practice कर रहा है उससे लेके to the top corporate hospitals में awareness of reporting के बाद social awareness among the law enforcement agency and how it is being taken and how we should not get harassed in this thing. But the easiest way is to be getting harassed in this thing.
Because statistics is available with NCRB, the number is increasing, but that is due to sensitization or due to actual new cases appeared.
That is largely because
How does
of
it matter?
So
media.
data is there, one can file a PIL or representation to the concerned authorities.
तो वो है
So
सर,
then-
but again,
एक चीज में
implementation.
एक बार आप इन्वॉल्व हो गए तो आप आपका प्रैक्टिस छोड़ के तो दिन भर
That is
इसमें काम चला
there is need for
That is
coordination.
right. But whenever any new law is formed, that law is notified in a public notice, it comes in newspapers, and the victim as well as the accused or the potential victim or the potential accused, they are reading it. And they sometimes interpret it wrongly and there is false allegations also. So there may be false misfires. It is not something many times we receive in our emergency. Recently we received a patient in emergency, she was an international patient and she came and she said, I had been sexually abused.
There is a misconception. Say for example, on many aspects. Say for example, regarding reporting. Suppose if we report and if it is not actual, so is there any action doctor? This is misconception.
वो तो आपने बोला ना
पर आप लोगों को पता चला ना, बाकी जो लोग बाहर हैं उनको नहीं. So that is why need for awareness on or knowledgeable. Next step is knowledgeable. Make aware, then make knowledgeable on these
आप बता
clarifications.
रहे थे ना अभी ये हर एक चीज we cannot keep on updating laws also. जैसे आप बोल रहे हो कि मेडिसिन आपको पता है because that is my field. अभी गायनेकोलॉजी में क्या अपग्रेडेशन हुआ है या न्यूरोसर्जरी में क्या हुआ है वो मेरे को पता नहीं. कैटरैक्ट का ओपन से ही करते
Because
थे.
actually, तो as per law, gynecologist or lady doctor should. I think there is no lady doctor sitting here. Same situation you can say randomly. कि those who are actually dealing with these cases, they are not aware. So
We
therefore we have to
don't
deal with
have
it.
any problem with the law, but it's the application of the law is the
So
problem.
reporting
That's
and the
what
person
we-
is not
we
from
have-
family is easy.
One fundamental
When it's a
problem that I
family,
have
there
with the
is
law
issues around.
is the issue about addressing child abuse or issue about child sexual abuse.
Yeah, sexual abuse.
Yeah.
we have to-
Why it's good for this forum to take this up because there is more abuse of children non-sexual manner
Yeah.
and the provisions for this are scattered under 20
That is
different
true.
settings. So it's good right now to look at this creating as prevention of child abuse and sexual offences. Instead of calling it POXO, we call it POCASO or called POCA and include those things into this because this is the time to make that happen. Because what will happen when this thing is going on, you just talk about sexual abuse. There is tremendous opportunity to exploit children in other manners.
I've seen one patient. The dad, the father was alcohol abused. He literally stabbed, cut at the back of the kid. I think it was very small kid. It is totally from the back of the big laceration was there. Just he was under influence. No one reported that.
So one is this, I would like to put it on record that this is an issue that we should put it on record. As far as the law is concerned, I think it's a pretty broad, comprehensive law which as far as the sexual offense is considered, I think it covers most of the elements into it. But I think there's something about that penetration clause which is there, right? Which is still applicable just like the other rapes into this manner. Which was questioned, a couple of people have questioned that from a legal standpoint of view. If it is not penetration, then will it be rape or not? That's the point. The third thing is the age of juvenile.
There has to
from
be
the
a
law
section.
point of view.
There has to be a separate section, I guess.
It's there on the
Amendment.
No,
It
for
is-
consensual, we don't
So
want
they are
consensual.
talking about the age of the juvenile, looking at the crimes that are done in this age group.
I thought you said.
But that's actually addressed by law.
No, sir, I didn't get your point, but this
My
age
point?
issue.
My point is, you have people of 17 years abusing a 6-year-old kid,
Okay.
and they are tried under the juvenile offence.
Now it is changed now. It is changed. Now
In
they
this
are
law-
16 years.
In this law, what it is, I don't know about that. So you please
No,
check
so
it.
this law just says that the child is below 18 years. It does not
No,
say
that's
anything
a
about
victim.
the
Accused के बारे में नहीं कहता,
Accused
वो
के
तो
बारे
victim.
में
It is
कुछ
about
नहीं
talking
कहा,
about
that
the
is only
accused.
victim.
Accused comes under juvenile justice act.
Because that there is a change.
No, but the accused can be 18 year or above or below.
Yes.
But
That
will
is
they
not
be
an issue,
getting
but
the same stringent punishment or do they get a
That's
minor
what I'm
punishment?
saying.
No, no, now there is a change. Amendment has been done, and they are now treated as adult, 16 to 18.
Okay,
That 2 years. That has been taken.
Amendment to the.
Yeah, amendment is there, but again implementation.
And what about the criminal punishment to the doctor? To be 6 months in
6
jail for
months
not
jail.
reporting? Are we
हाँ,
okay with
this
that? Or are we
is,
going to
मतलब I
challenge?
thought this must be a problem for all of you, but since you all know about
This
it.
is the first time I
Yeah.
heard.
But I have not seen till date any doctor has been punished because
I
who will
will-
punish police
Yeah.
investigation first?
सर इस
They are
साल
not aware.
इस साल
I
में
will-
हॉस्पिटल में किसी ने फोड़ा नहीं था.
हाँ,
आजकल
आजकल
तो
के
now-
Now there CCTVs are installed everywhere, and retroactively they can be identified who was the first person who has contacted the patient. So there are chances that the doctor can be punished. So that is one of the
It's
objections
not
of this
just
law.
it's not just
It
the
is
doctor, it's
objection.
also the institution.
It
There's
cannot
a
just
clause
be
on
the
the,
doctor,
there's a
yes.
clause on the institution also. So just like what's happening with the
Protected
transplant,
company worker के लिए
institution का
रखा
भी
है।
उसके वो institutional prestige के
Yeah,
लिए
that is
sometimes
covered, that is covered.
the doctor can be
Not
pressurized
covered.
by the management not to
इसके आगे
disclose.
commission-
That's a
If
separate
say
point.
the patient himself is a VIP.
Any person.
Will I be immediately wanting him to
हाँ,
get
हाँ,
no,
वही-
it
वही
is both
institution का है,
way.
वो-
Patient can be VIP. Secondly, the
person who is medical
the
student
other crime can be a VIP.
Medical supplement.
So
Okay, are we?
Is there any confusion regarding the institution cannot be punished? Institution means head of the institution.
Yeah.
Is there any doubt?
There
There is a provision.
There is provision. That's why I'm saying both the दोनों एंगल पे हम लोग के लिए प्रॉब्लम है. As a because
Administrator भी problem
हम लोग का
है.
कोई जूनियर होगा प्लस हम लोग का मेडिकल डायरेक्टर both are criminally prosecuted for this. For lack of
Then only they
awareness
will
and not
implement.
reporting.
So there is a provision, but
So
again
whether
there
we
is
are going to
a
raise
lot
a
of
concern to that or we are going to
misconception.
We should raise
हमी
the
को
concern.
punishment होगा ऊपर वाले को.
We should raise the concern that
Yeah.
it should not be.
But it
punishable
should be
offense.
reported by the good person to the your MS or whoever is in charge. If this is the provision, please take care of it.
you're saying something.
I was saying that we should object that the doctor who has to report, he should not be punished if he doesn't report.
Criminal
So that
punishment.
it should not be
That-
criminal punishment.
He has to be
Yeah.
punished because if the doctor is not being punished for not
So
reporting.
what you are saying, being
then
in
it
charge,
won't-
clause 1 says any person and the clause 2 says any person being in charge. So I feel both the doctor
Both are
and
covered.
the institution
Can be
made
punished.
a
See, it's, again,
But the in charge part is again a problematic thing.
if
Say,
if you take the
Not
parallel
just
from the
legal.
DNDT Act, right, you had the radiologist strike just day before yesterday. Because the age and the sex of the person, age and the date was not written correctly, doctors have been put behind
Arrest.
bars.
Yeah.
Right, so you had a nationwide strike by the radiologists in this. So you can't just pick one element of the law and implement it, right? So the way, if you are talking about a new law, awareness is at the lowest, knowledge about it, systems, processes out of this is not yet mature. You can't have such a harsh crime for a professional who
That's
spent
what I'm
30 years
saying.
into
So we
this.
can't put a
So
punishment
you
in
have,
an act itself.
so you have to put a clear thing in saying that, you know, if it is a first time offense and it is of that grade,
No,
etc.,
or
then
that-
this is the kind of punishment that
Or
should
there
be
needs
done.
to be an inquiry into that person, right?
No,
Because that
without
point,
inquiry,
There will be an institutional inquiry तो होगा, but the whole thing is if there is a law which says पुलिस तो आके उठा के ले जाएगी, आपका institution बाद में inquiry करते रहेगा, आपको hospital में लेना या नहीं.
ऐसा नहीं है.
like, sir,
Non-cognizant.
sir, the punishment.
नहीं है.
So what is that? That's what I want to understand.
But reputation also matters.
reputation
Once
loss.
Once the doctor is in jail,
Madam,
it's a
but
good
for
for whatever.
what kind of
ऐसा नहीं।
punishment
That is
will
the
be-
legal
ऐसा नहीं,
doctor
ऐसा
will be
नहीं है।
penalized?
Good faith law is there.
Sir,
You can prevent.
doctor will be penalized for not reporting जो है तो
Yeah.
what kind of because उसमें भी क्या है जैसे सर बोल रहे हैं कि एटलीस्ट अभी सपोज आई एम नॉट if it was the negligence or it was like
Act of commission, act of omission.
so whether it
But
was
lack of
intentional.
ignorance is not
No.
an
Sir,
excuse. You
there are
only have
multiple
it.
channels or law working together. Say for example, in this particular situation, if you have not informed, you have violated this law, you will be punished.
You will be punished. There's no.
In Ethical Regulation 2002, if you have violated any law which is supposed to be violated, you will be punished by the State Medical Council. Any person can make complaint to the Child Welfare Committee. They can their own mechanism. Institution head, they have their domestic inquiry. They can take action. Similarly, National Human Rights Commission, State Human Rights Commission, they can to come into picture.
लीगल प्रोसेस के हिसाब से ये तो अपना इसका हुआ लीगली ऐसा नहीं है में ऐसा ना हो कि दूसरे दिन पुलिस आए डॉक्टर को उठा
ऐसा नहीं है ना।
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. But if whatever inquiry happens after that is
What
found
does
that
what
you
does the
should-
law say?
No, no.
The
There
law
is
says that
always
you-
a chance.
Just
No, what does it? That's what I
Always a
said.
chance.
What does the law say?
I think let's read
Let's
out
read
the-
that
sentence.
Yeah. Section 21 says punishment for failure to report or record a case.
So if
first
we saw
clause
that
says-
patient and sent him
Sir,
away.
first
You
clause
just note
says-
down. Police has been informed in record. You will be safe.
So
And whatever
first
the
clause
mode you
says
should.
any person who fails to report the commission of an offence under subsection 1 of section 19, that is another thing, or section 20, or who fails to record such offence under section 2 of section 19 shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which makes 10 to 6 months, or will fine or
So
will.
your purpose solved once you recorded it and informed whatever the mode you are using. That should be a
So
so
basically, what we want to request is, we want protection of the doctors.
There is a good
No, no,
faith
no.
law.
Protection of doctors from getting further penalized by the institution for reporting a case. Because what happens is, the doctors sometimes they are pressurized that you should not report.
You just
if they
note down.
report, if they report,
Yeah, I have been pressurized
if
because
they
उससे तो कोई नहीं
report,
protect
sometimes
कर
if they
सकता।
report, they are restricted from the hospital for any other reason, not for that
Yeah.
reason. So they should be protected,
Sir,
just like
but
protection of
it's
child.
not
Sir,
उसमें तो कोई control नहीं है।
So they should be.
Let's not
they
divert.
should be
Let's not
protected.
divert. What we are trying to raise is we don't want that criminal punishment. So we have to raise a concern. Is that what you're trying to say? We're just going in different
But
directions.
वो आप कर नहीं सकते क्योंकि उसके लिए amendment
Just like a
उसके लिए amendment के बिना नहीं possible है।
At least
That's
we
what
can
we-
make a suggestion.
we can make a
Yes, we
suggestion.
can make a suggestion.
So that's what we just.
Protection is necessary.
There are two contradictory views. On
But
one
वो
aspect we are
private
saying
law-
that law's deterrent effect is not there, and on another aspect we are saying it should
No,
not
no,
be
sir,
there.
it's the same thing. If I have witnessed a crime of murder, then
We have to-
I can claim in the court of law that I need protection. Because
So
I
वो
can
तो अभी भी है, तभी किसी के लिए भी है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखा हुआ
Sir,
है।
that is protection
Sir, but
by
वो कितने के लिए
by
ये भी तो
or
important
by
है।
the
साल के बाद भी तो मार सकते
society. What I am trying to say is the professional
आप
security.
एक मिनट, इसी में लिखा हुआ है ना गुड फेथ क्लॉज पढ़िए जरा गुड
नहीं।
फेथ क्लॉज की आप उसको क्यों नहीं यूज करोगे, पर आप कह रहे हो कि वो दूसरे तरीके से निकालेगा।
Professional
Sir, कुछ-
security.
उसका तो कोई सॉल्यूशन नहीं है ना।
Professional
वो बात
security.
करके fine.
इसका solution
Sir,
नहीं है।
No, no, it is.
सर बट प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूट्स में प्रोफेशनल सिक्योरिटी आपको कोई नहीं
नहीं दे सकता।
एक ही
It is
से-
not. It is not what we just want a provision that the person who has reported a crime which is related to either a sexual assault or a child sexual assault, he should not be unnecessarily harassed.
Sir,
by
So
the-
for that you have to make representation to the concerned authority कि since I have informed this, आपको तो पता है ना क्यों किया गया। Make representation, you will get
That will be individual.
You
सर
will be
वो तो फिर
restored.
कल एक हॉस्पिटल आप बोलेगा कि ये आदमी ने लॉ ये करने के बाद ये अननेसेसरी
हाँ,
क्लेम और आप गवर्नमेंट बोल रहा है कि इसको संभालो जबरदस्ती का ऐसा थोड़ी हो
कोई भी नहीं कर सकता भाई, ऊपर
गवर्नमेंट
owner भी
सेक्टर
तो
हो सकता है
punishment होगा
प्राइवेट
ना
नहीं हो
उसको।
सकता
Is there anything else?
Owner will be punished only when
You have to inform
only knows about
So
it.
ये it is your duty to inform, bring to the notice of that कि
This
yes,
clear
there is a
the
clause
punishment which
कि
is
मैं नहीं मैं
stated
आपको
in the
बताता
There
हूँ।
is difference between public and private hospitals. When there is in a public hospital, the doctor who is working in emergency is independent. He can report any crime. But when he is working in a private hospital, he has to first report to his head of the department. Then, for the sensitive
Why in public he doesn't have to inform?
Direct.
We don't get
You can
any
report directly.
You are directly
he can report directly. But for maintaining the
Culture.
No, not the culture. It is maintaining the integrity. That what we are doing right now, we have faced many times. we have faced many times. A patient was brought in emergency. He was drunken state. His wife came, and after a few minutes, since he didn't got relief, her wife shouting that I have been sexually abused by the staff of the hospital, and she called the police. Right? So what happened? After later on, the institution's medical superintendent, he requested us that why didn't you make it a medical legal case before they reported to the police.
But sir,
So that is the difference. This happens. We do not.
Alcohol.
Yeah, you can. If he's inebriated, you have to.
But if he done कोई accident अगर कुछ हुआ होगा तो है.
Otherwise, it is creating
Under 503 of IPC, if a person who is drunken, he is
Nice to the anybody.
and he is causing
Sir, if he is
indiscipline.
dangerous for the society.
आया क्या हॉस्पिटल क्यों आया?
सर अभी हमारे मैं जिस एरिया में प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ वहाँ पे तो रोज आधे लोग क्लियर रहते हैं, but they are in full senses.
So they come, so many hypoglycemics come alcoholics.
Doctor को ही report है. I am just saying that these
उसका law नहीं
incidences
बन
do happen, and
These
for
are
that
bad.
reason,
See,
we can think of
one thing is
some
very clear
protection.
that this law has to be followed by doctors. Right?
Just like
For the law to be implemented, there has to be accountability. That is also for certain. The question is,
How much?
are you ready at this current time कि अगले 3 महीने में अगर ऐसा कोई इंसिडेंट होता है that some doctor is arrested for 6 months? That's the question that we are talking right now.
if you
There are full chances according to the
Law, right? So
Yes,
are we
are we
supporting
happy
that?
with
That's
that
what I'm
or
saying.
not?
Are we supporting
That's
that?
true.
Are we supporting that?
No, we are not supporting.
So what do we do? The way of saying is कि यार there are many reasons why such a harsh punishment at the
Because
current
it's
time
CBI.
because it's a
Yeah.
new act, awareness is not there, resources are not there, systems are not in place. It cannot be such a severe punishment. It should be one based on whether there was, suppose it was an act of omission which is defined by 1, 2, 3, 4 things. In such a case there could be this extreme punishment. But if there are minor errors like 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously this is a matter of deliberation of experts sitting and saying what could be these things, then it could be like this, or it should only be considered a criminal action should be only considered post a institutional
But
inquiry which is
all these aspects are considered by the judges. All these aspects, according to because it's the
सर
maximum
जजेस के
punishment.
पास जाने से पहले लोकल पुलिस स्टेशन वाला आ जाता है उठा के डॉक्टर को ले जाता है
सर वो
ये
problem-
फैक्ट है
problem ये
वंस दैट लॉ इज देयर
Yeah, I think.
दे वो उसका तो सेटिंग हो गया है सर डॉक्टर है लीलावती हॉस्पिटल का है कि फोर्टिस का है कि अपोलो का है उसका तो स्ट्रेटा फिक्स है
देखिए सर,
कितना
लॉ
extract करना
लॉ
है।
ना डॉक्टर के लिए प्रोटेक्शन के लिए नहीं बना है, ये चाइल्ड के प्रोटेक्शन के लिए बना है। और गवर्नमेंट जब भी लॉ लाती है तो पॉलिटिकल एंगल से लाती है, उन्हें पता है स्टैटिक्स पब्लिक को जवाब देना है, वोट दें। तो ये चीज हम करें कि इसको कम कर दो, इट इज ए फ्यूटाइल एक्सरसाइज बिकॉज़ व्हेनेवर एनी लॉ इज मेड इट इज मेड फॉर
सर मैं आपको लिख के देता हूं पीएनडीटी एक्ट अगर पीएनडीटी एक्ट विल नॉट
पिछली बार कर चुके हैं बहुत ही चीजें क्या हुआ।
forum किस चीज
Sir,
से
that is why I'm saying the doctors have
Sir,
to be consulted.
would you
If they have
think
not
that
been consulted
PNDT Act will
before,
not be amended?
now's the time that doctors have to be consulted. That
सर
whether the punishment-
सर आप मुझे बताइए पीएनडीटी एक्ट विल नॉट बी अमेंडेड
व्हाई नॉट?
It will be amended. Now they have seen a nationwide agitation. Doctors have
But when doctor made agitation ना,
They are saying that-
but जब बनाया गया था तब भी पूछा गया था क्या सजेशन दो तो डॉक्टर ने नहीं दिया।
नहीं बट आज आपने को अपॉर्चुनिटी पहले मिली ना 10 लोग जेल में जाने के बाद मिल के फायदा नहीं है तो अल्टीमेटली फोरम ही उसके लिए तो व्हाट एज डॉक्टर नोएश इज सेइंग सर ने जैसे बोला है ना तो आई थिंक जैसे अभी जो हेलमेट का
अच्छा चलिए अपोज करने का आपका लॉजिक क्या रहेगा? जस्टिफिकेशन
अपोज नहीं है सर
नहीं मिनिमाइज
Justification दे चुके हैं
क्या?
कि lack
ये
of
first time
awareness
सब
of the
Position
situation.
और
Just-
कोर्ट ये कहेगा, फिलॉसफी ये है कि वन शुड नो द लैंड ऑफ द लॉ, चाहे वो आज बना हो चाहे 1950 में बना हो।
सर ऐसा नहीं
You
करना
cannot
है सर वो तो फिर
कि हम नहीं aware हैं।
सर
डॉक्टर
तो
कहेगा
हर एक
कि हम
MBBS बंदे को बाद में 3 साल बैठ के LLB करना पड़ेगा उसके लिए ऐसा नहीं हो सकता
ऐसा नहीं है ना।
ऐसा
नहीं so as simple just like in medical legal case we have to inform that's
बस,
that's
yes,
the
yes, that is your job.
medical
इसमें
legal
खास problem
case
अवेयरनेस
itself,
की।
the term medical legal case itself is a
It
issue.
was a similar
There's
problem
nothing
with
like that.
PNDT Act, that they have to report in format. Now, once they started reporting, now they are finding the mistake. The same will happen when we are reporting a medical legal case and we are making a report. When you read, according to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare guidelines, for reporting a sexual assault case, there is a 7 to 8 page
Yes,
report.
yes, yes.
It is not just one page we are reporting right now. We have to report on 8 pages. and we have to take the statement of the.
So as soon as you don't do 8
Yes.
pages, you'll be in
Sir,
jail for 6
also-
months.
Yes,
So that's
what we have to
acceptable.
Sir, if you
जेल
see the
जेल में
awareness
नहीं जाते
part-
हैं.
अरे जेल में कैसे नहीं जाएंगे?
Sir,
एक्ट बोल रहा है आपको रिपोर्ट
नहीं,
करना है.
That is
report
maximum
hard नहीं है.
punishment. That is maximum.
सर
Yes.
2 घंटे में मुझे जेल में डाला, अगली बार मेरे को हॉस्पिटल रखेगा आप बताओ मुझे।
सर ये एक्सक्यूज कोई दे नहीं
नहीं,
सकता
excuse नहीं
है.
दे
चलो
सकता
आप ये
है।
बताओ जो इम्प्लीमेंट बोले उसे पता भी और वो मैनिपुलेट कर रहा है. कोर्ट तो हर चीज को देखता
तो
है.
एक्सपायरी पे पता चलेगा ना सर।
नहीं, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. बट ये ऐसा नहीं कि लिख दिया 6 महीने तो आपको जेल पुलिस पकड़ के ले
नहीं,
जाएगी.
but you will be arrested or you will only be arrested
You
after
just
it's proved.
you just inform and put it in your
Yes,
file.
समझ में आया.
You will be safe.
इसका बात नहीं कर रहे. अगर
ऐसा लॉ में
नहीं
लिखा है
किया,
कहीं पे कि
क्या
मैं
ऐसे-
सिर्फ मेरे पेपर पे लिख दूं कि आई एम इन्फॉर्म
हाँ,
पुलिस।
ये यही लिखा हुआ है.
आपको पूरा फॉर्म नहीं भी भरा है।
नहीं, just information.
Just, I mean,
That you
Just
are-
information. Those are guidelines.
Makes a sense. Then it makes
Yes,
sense.
second, yes, second.
What
One
you are
second.
saying is more
One
than must read it
One
again.
second.
Inform and
If it
record.
goes to court,
It is not just inform. It is
One second,
Report. It
Vivek.
says you have to report it.
one sec, if you have not informed it and the court में जाता है केस and the doctor is pulled up कि आपने रिपोर्ट नहीं किया इसको,
तो आप प्रूव करोगे उसमें कि आपने रिपोर्ट किया नहीं किया बस.
ठीक है, और नहीं किया
तो फिर तो आप जेलोगे.
आप सुनो तो सही.
हाँ.
And so
आपने
they have
एक
given the
second, one
reporting
second, one
authority.
second, one second. तो आपने रिपोर्ट नहीं किया है. So does that mean the police can just arrest you or you
No,
only be
they
arrested
cannot.
after it's proved in
They
court
cannot
that you
arrest
haven't
you
reported?
because again there are many gray whether it is a negligence or this is not reporting since you have put on record you have
By default पुलिस का
Jacob
first
Matthew case are there for arresting the
by default first reaction क्या होगा? पुलिस आपको जेल में डालेगी,
नहीं,
कोर्ट में
नहीं।
प्रूव होने के लिए रुकेगी.
पुलिस नहीं डाल सकती जेल में भाई.
नहीं.
कॉग्निटिव नॉन
वही
कॉग्निटिव
पूछ
there
रहा
are
हूँ,
two issues.
नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ.
2 years वाले में है.
See, once it's found that you have not reported, charges will be raised.
Notice
against
आया
you.
आपके पास.
Notice आया.
Notice आया.
Okay,
And
that-
then you
that is
have
the
to-
only clarity that is
That is all we are trying to ask. इसके लिए पूछ रहा
नहीं
हूँ.
नहीं डायरेक्टली कोई जेल में नहीं
ऐसा होता अब तक पुलिस वाले सब कर चुके होते क्योंकि उन्हें पैसा
इसलिए
मिलता
तो
है.
पूछते हैं क्योंकि हम डर गए थे.
हाँ, नहीं, यही मैं कह रहा हूँ. मैं यही सुनना चाहता था जो आप लोग इतनी देर से नहीं बोल रहे हो कि फियर है हम लोग के अंदर. वो क्यों है कि क्लैरिटी नहीं है.
एग्जैक्टली क्लैरिटी
और अभी दूसरी क्लैरिटी भी कर दो कि अभी ये रिपोर्ट करना पुलिस को एक सेंटेंस है, एक फॉर्म है या ये 8
Sir,
पेज का
that-
कोई
document
फॉर्म नहीं है इसके लिए. कोई स्टैंडर्डाइज वो नहीं है बे.
Do you
आप जो भी
There has to
आप
be a
agree with that?
record.
Do you agree with that it
There has to be a record that you have reported. No
But
matter
that-
how, in which format you have
written
reported.
देखिए
record.
फॉर्मेट इसलिए नहीं हो
And
सकता.
also you must know the reporting authorities which are given under section 90.
Is there another
Abhi,
aspect? Is there
what
one
is-
point of contact for carrying this forward after that? We inform the police our part is over.
Yes.
For the rest of the thing, is this the child welfare authority or whoever is, what is the one point contact for?
The police special unit has
We
been
inform the
created.
police about this aspect, but.
They take over.
No, no, they will inform the.
it will
Yeah,
be
they
just-
should- हाँ.
Just like MNC form, we should inform the police, we should write down the buckle number of police which we have informed, and we should document what time. And once we inform police, I think that's our
What is
responsibility.
his concern is कि आगे क्या होगा? That is out of our interest. That is
Then
that
if
is
the
not
police will come and
As
decide
as
कि
he
बच्चों
said,
को
the
कहाँ
police
भेजना
was
है,
over.
वो सब उनका
yes.
काम है.
Any
As-
he has to
as-
bring
no, no, as-
or he has to-
No, no.
आपको हेल्थ केयर वाला देखना.
No, no, I'll tell you.
Clinically he is
Now,
comfortable.
my question is, like, what happened?
The kind of experience that he
I
had.
did not know how to go about it. So I had called up the police saying that, see, we are suspecting something like this.
You have to go to
And
Ahmedabad.
see, I have to, I'm informing you this. Like, how do I go about it? So he said कि like जब तक कोई complaint नहीं करता तब तक क्यों बता रहा? तो तुम
So-
complaint
तो
कर
गलत
रहे
है,
हो।
उन्हें नहीं पता. They are not
Police is
aware.
also not aware of
They
what
are
is
not
happening.
aware.
So technically, if
But
I say.
you have still informed and you've documented it. So your
Yes.
job
So
is finished.
technically, I say this is the prevention of child.
Suspected case of this.
So and so I'm informing you.
हाँ,
So then
report.
that's fine. Yeah.
That
That's
has
it.
to be recorded.
Then you should have reasonable
Suspicion.
suspicion. Reasonable. That is broad enough.
One question is with me that is there any word written that a doctor has to inform?
Any person.
Any person.
Hmm.
So why
No,
not
but
the
a
nurse?
doctor is liable.
Why not
A
the
doctor
nurse?
is liable.
हाँ.
No, what I'm trying
So
to say
if
is,
you
Because
why
doctor
not
can
the
suspect
nurse
it.
should be
No,
marked
that's
that
what-
they should report?
No,
You
no,
can
that's
be
what I'm saying. In
responsible
my
doctor.
hospital.
देखिए vicarious responsibility यहाँ आती है.
Very
यहाँ
right.
पे अगर नर्स नहीं कर रही है तो आप उसके बाद हेड ऑफ
आप नर्स डालोगे तो भी जेल आप ही
बिल्कुल।
जाओगे. रिस्पांसिबिलिटी डॉक्टर को दिया हुआ है.
नहीं, that is what I'm asking. Is
Exactly.
there
Yes, why
is the
can't
word
the
clear?
policy?
Any person?
Any person.
Or it is
Any
the
person.
doctor who has to inform?
No, no, no.
Any
No, no,
person.
any person.
So any person including doctor obviously.
But
नहीं आप जो बोल रहे हो
नहीं, पर नर्स तो आपको रिपोर्ट करेगी ना कि ऐसा एक पेशेंट आया हुआ।
पुलिस के साथ बात कौन करता है इसको इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं है. The doctor
Nurse
has
is
to
also-
mention it that it has to be informed. जैसे अभी each and every hospital has an independent protocol how to inform about medical legal case. Okay,
Correct.
so MLC. So like my hospital, we call up the security guy. He comes, he asks me
register
क्या
legal.
हुआ है. He speaks with police because we don't spend our time in calling a police station and he or him. So the law says that a doctor has to mention कि इसको क्या and then you have to keep a follow. I keep follow up with my security कि तूने किसके साथ बात किया है. There is a
उसकी
mechanism
receipt
that
भी
he has
होगा।
to come back and tell me
Yeah.
कि ये पुलिस स्टेशन में ये आदमी को
वो ensure करना।
ये किया ये इतना
That's it.
आपका
That's
काम.
it.
You may not speak with police.
जो बाकी मेडिको लीगल में कर रहा है वही यहाँ करना है, कोई नया कुछ
तो
नहीं
वोल्ट
है।
तो डॉक्टर सी कैसा हो रहा है पता है क्या व्हाट यू आर सेइंग ना नर्स ने करना चाहिए द वोलेटाइल पॉपुलेशन को कंसर्न कभी ज्यादा ये नहीं करेंगे द थिंग इज बिकॉज़ कंसीडरिंग द डॉक्टर जो विल बी द लीड पर्सन
They are more qualified, more
qualified
information,
and
they
person who
responsibility
can
with them.
detect this. And if a nurse misses that, it is not
is about
her part of job.
Vicarious
She
liability में
can
डॉक्टर
inform, if you tell a nurse to inform police, she can inform on behalf of you. But it is on, तो फिर तो उससे पहले तो HCA आता है, वार्ड बॉय आता है जो उठाता है पेशेंट को बाहर से. तो you cannot expect first contact तो वैसे तो वार्ड बॉय हुआ, उससे पहले सिक्योरिटी हो गया. बट सबसे पहले तो गेट से एंट्री होता है. So we cannot expect them to.
No, but they cannot ask these questions.
That's what I am saying. So
ये professional secrecy,
ultimately liability
many
will be
things
with
come
the
into
doctor
picture.
only. Only the source of information sent to the police can be anyone, but the doctor has to see that it has reached the police station. Or the
Usually
police
any person includes police person
Yeah.
and B. Because
कहीं तो
either they
contact
directly go to the
Why
police.
any person can be seen as a doctor because doctor examines the patient first.
Yeah, knows the
and
details
he
better.
has the suspect.
Suspicion,
But
yes.
he has suspected.
Being a
it
clinically
first.
qualified.
So I mean
That's what, so-
this is why
हाँ,
the
इसलिए
doctor
डॉक्टर्स को
comes in.
रेस्पॉन्सिबल पकड़ा है
हाँ.
दूसरों को नहीं.
I have seen in AIMS, they are doing triaging. The triaging is done by the nurse.
Nurse.
And they have marked a nurse also
Hmm.
to inform.
That's true.
She will inform, she is the informatics.
Yeah, but
She
it
is
is doctor's
informatics.
responsibility that she has
Responsibility
informed.
of
If she
the
does,
doctor.
if
No, no,
she
try
doesn't
to
inform.
understand. It is informed by the nurse. The MLC has to be made by the
328 में
doctor.
cover.
Yeah.
That is the.
That's what I'm saying. So the reporting thing can be done by any. Even you can tell the
That is what
family
I am
member. No, you can tell the family member to see. Police ऐसा कहीं नहीं बोलती है कि डॉक्टर ने हमको inform करना है. There are
हाँ, even a
hospitals.
mother has a suspect.
Yeah, so she can inform
suspicion that
police.
she has been
But
assaulted.
you should have a
She can
record कि ये पुलिस है को inform हुआ है. Via means even if mother says कि मैं police station जाके आई हूँ, sometimes police comes with the patient. So just we just mention on paper कि brought by police officer. So now I don't have to take an extra effort to again inform, but I have to fill my MNC register.
So
Last
why
12 minutes
this-
we have.
10 minutes.
12.
12 minutes.
इसको conclude किया जाए.
So we can take the point of protection of the doctor of somewhat in the same way as PCP and
Yeah.
they are raising their voice.
No, that what
अब
sir
ना
told, I
अक्सर
think makes more
जब
sense.
बना था तब क्यों नहीं? अब सेम थिंग विद द क्लिनिकल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट है. जब बना, जब एक्ट नोटिफाई हो गया फिर डॉक्टर जगते हैं, कोर्ट में गए, कोर्ट ने रिफ्यूज कर दिया. तो यहाँ पे हम कह रहे हैं ना कि आप हर चीज को अपना प्रोटेक्शन मांगोगे तो आम आदमी क्या मांगेगा?
सर जब बना था तो did they involve people?
There are notification in newspaper, standing council, invited suggestion. आप लोग अभी बताओ, मेडिकल नेशनल मेडिकल कमीशन बनने जा रहा है, आप लोग कितने अवेयर हो?
हमको पता है.
मगर
This is
कैसे?
the first time when
नहीं,
anything
आप-
which
आप
was
अकेले
better
नहीं,
and
मैं
law
सभी
related
तक
was
पूछ रहा हूँ.
disseminated so openly, sir.
So that is why I am saying
This
I am
is
running
कहाँ
an
ऐसे कैसे जाते थे?
internet-based group, quality of medical education with 10,000 members. I am circulating this news. You should come forward, solution, problem.
See, sir, देखिए, one is you did not do at start. So will you not do it for the next 10 years? You have an opportunity. You have start. Last year,
We have the opportunity.
NLM forums कहाँ होते थे सर? हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया में कभी नहीं हुए. तो अभी जब हुई अपॉर्चुनिटी, let's make this opportunity. This is what is come. We should recommend to revisit this. What is a bigger crime? Let me ask you this: driving at high speed at 120 where there is speed limit. Is he imprisoned for 6 months?
No, there is a
Which-
fine now, Motor Vehicle Act.
But not reporting this is an imprisonable act, right?
Because this is a severe offense, na?
Because of
So
the
severe,
gravity
but
of the offense.
That's what I'm saying. There is a risk of killing somebody at high speed. Gravity of offense there is also there. He can kill himself or kill somebody else. There is not a question of death.
in sexual offense, but here is a question of death that is there. But that's not a punishable offense, right? So, I mean, it has to be looked into the light of one, you know, it's a sensitive issue. It has got the limelight. Obviously, the way people react changes. You know, the whole, because the gender ratio is changed, now the way we are looking at PNDT is changed completely.
जो whatever issue we have discussed, everything is section 43, public awareness about act, the provision. Monitoring and implementation of act, जो हम discuss कर रहे हैं, everything is there.
सब है. That's what we need to look at. How do we make this happen?
How do we percolate it down?
नहीं तो इसमें 10-20 साल और लग जाएंगे और डिस्कशन से कुछ.
And lastly, power to remove difficulty, which we are discussing.
वही सर, तो हमारा सजेशन क्या है कि हम नहीं बोलते कि लॉ चेंज करो, हमारा सजेशन यही है जो डॉक्टर का उसमें लायबिलिटी है, as what he told, tired इसमें ओके, फर्स्ट टाइम अगर हुआ है and the inquiry committee feels कि नहीं it was just by mistake or the more of act of.
अच्छा, एक एग्जांपल मैं देता हूँ, जो मर्डर है उसकी सजा है कैपिटल पनिशमेंट. आपको लगता है सब केस में कैपिटल पनिशमेंट हो जाता है? ये जुडिशियल का काम है, डिस्क्रिशन. वो देखते हैं कि आपकी ग्रेविटी के अकॉर्डिंगली मे बी टिल राइजिंग ऑफ द कोर्ट मिनिमम पनिशमेंट, मे बी 1 month, मे बी 2. वो कस्पेक्ट
Sir, there is a difference in that versus medical profession. Why doctors are standing up today?
because they are not aware at that time about their rights.
सर एक भी हो गया तो प्रैक्टिस खत्म हो
Dr.
जाता है.
Desai fought for 26 years.
Then he got justice.
He was punished just for 1 day, but he
Just-
fought for 26 years for that.
Then got the justice.
Then he got the justice, but it came to him only. It didn't came to the medical profession.
हाँ,
Sir,
वो तो है,
what-
criminal law
what-
डिवीजन होगा ना.
What
सर,
is the
इसमें
justice for the
सर
medical
डॉक्टर
profession?
में और जो
And
मर्डर
what
है
happened
उसमें
is
फर्क
that
ये है कि
Desai
मेरा
only he
करियर
knows.
एक दिन में
Yes,
जेल
he
में
cannot
बैठूं तो मेरा
resurrect his
करियर
career
खत्म हो
after
जाएगा.
that.
कंसीडर करता है डॉक्टर साहब.
सर,
क्रिमिनल
नहीं,
नेग्लिजेंस के केस आज तक डॉक्टर के अगेंस्ट नहीं प्रूव हुए
ये
हैं.
है कि मेरे को एक दिन के लिए भी जस्ट नोटिस भी आता है तो 10 न्यूज़पेपर में पब्लिश होगा कि ये डॉक्टर ने ये किया नहीं था, इसलिए मीडिया ये चीजों को उछालती है. तो हमारा कहना क्या है कि डॉक्टर पे जो एक्शन लेना है, इवन कोर्ट ये इट शुड, तो प्राइवेसी हैज टू बी मेंटेन. इसमें क्या है कि कल को हॉस्पिटल को लाइमलाइट कर दिया जाएगा, जो पर्सन इन्वॉल्व रहेगा, जो डॉक्टर गलती से, वो तो जुडिशियल डिसाइड
मीडिया
करेगा.
रिपोर्ट नहीं कर सकती है. वो भी
मीडिया
मीडिया
नाम पे डिस्प्ले करेगी.
देखिए, वो नहीं, उनको कहाँ से पता चलेगा ये बताइए ना.
अरे सर, वुमेन कमीशन की चेयरपर्सन नाम डिस्क्लोज करती है रेप विक्टिम का, तो क्या
वायलेट किया ना उसने लॉ वायलेट किया.
सर वो मीडिया को पता नहीं चलेगा, ये तो बात होती ही नहीं.
सर उसकी पोस्ट चली गई ना, उसकी पोस्ट चली गई.
हाँ.
तो वैसे ही डॉक्टर का करियर चला जाता है.
खत्म हो जाएगा सर.
लॉ अपनी जगह रहता है,
तो फिर आपके हिसाब से लॉ में ये प्रोविजन नहीं होना चाहिए.
ऐसा नहीं बोल
Not
रहा.
just
What I am
not
saying
for the
is,
POCSO, it is for the every act. What I am trying to say, for doing a medical legal work in an emergency, it is a tedious task. And
Even
then
if we are making the punishment so stringent, the
Yeah.
awareness has to be there
Exactly.
beforehand.
तो
By
भाई
that
हाँ,
thing.
so the point is at least it is going to, this law to be understood by each and every medical professional who is going to treat this kind of patient or any patient. There has to be some time. आप ऐसा एक दिन 2012 में लॉ आया, बट उसको कितने लोगों तक पहुंचा है? And we do accept it might be fall on the part of medical practitioners they didn't do, but then there has to be some kind of awareness. अभी हर चीज पढ़ी नहीं जा सकती.
इसीलिए तो स्कूल लेवल से कहा जा रहा है ना. स्कूल लेवल से आएगा तो जब तक वो मैच्योर सिटीजन बनेंगे तब तक अवेयर हो जाएंगे.
Last point.
Just summarize करो.
आपने कुछ points रखे हैं? I have noted some points. They may be clubbed together because it is now long list. Their issue of qualification. Who will be actually dealing these cases? Whether emergency medicine or forensic medicine or gynecologist. इसको हम लोग क्लब कर लेंगे. Then regarding manpower, availability of manpower.
there is
वही करना चाहिए.
there is a role of
पूरी कंट्री में कैसे कर लोगे ना?
a role of
रेशियो
psychologists in this. They are
वो सब मेंशन है उसमें. वो तो ऑलरेडी मेंशन है. Experience and training. Suppose you are dealing, do you need special training for this or those who are dealing? Then recognition of degree. Say for example, आप लोग का है, आप जिनकी डिग्री नहीं रिकॉग्नाइज है, इमरजेंसी मेडिसिन न्यू है, और आप लिख रहे हो कि स्पेशलिस्ट, ये मेरी उसमें आया नॉलेज में और बहुत सारे केस हैं इसमें. कि till your degree not recognized, you cannot claim specialist that particular. And regulation 2002 में भी mentioned है. तो वो आप लोग थोड़ा सा देखना, ये उसमें नहीं है, पर जो भी interested होगा they should know about syllabus, whether it is in forensic medicine or emergency medicine on these issue or at school level, it should be included. It's related to infrastructure. There should be dedicated one room for these, and these are recommendation again under that Justice Burma committee. Women doctor, only women doctor should deal. If that is not available, then it should be under supervision or guidance of any female, even by male doctor. Till we have enough lady doctors. Financial aspect, again, you have to treat free. So that should be taken care from where money will come. Either that victim compensation scheme that should reimburse at least private hospital, because that is another aspect. They are refusing or manipulating कि आप डॉक्टर गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में जाओ, प्राइवेट में नहीं जाओ. That is taken care by that. सैलरी एस्पेक्ट आप लोगों ने बोला था कि इमरजेंसी मेडिसिन वाले या जो भी डील कर रहे हैं, तो वो क्यों they are less motivated to deal with all medical legal including this. So that should be taken care by concerned authorities. Working condition obviously कि आपकी कोई वर्किंग कंडीशन है नहीं है, इमरजेंसी वालों की 8 आवर्स ड्यूटी करनी है, कोई 36 आवर में कॉल पे रहते हैं, साल वाला भी है. एक हाई कोर्ट का जजमेंट भी है कि आप गाइडलाइंस फ्रेम करिए कि कितने आवर. देयर इज ए पॉजिटिव रिसर्च इन वेस्टर्न कंट्री की इफ यू आर ओवरवर्क देयर आर चांसेस ऑफ एरर, स्पेशली इन मेडिकल. Lack of coordination between different authorities, including police and child welfare committee, social organization. आपने कहा था चाइल्ड अब्यूज को comprehensive इसमें वो करना चाहिए, so that maybe it should be comprehensive enough to include even child abuse.
Non-sexual child.
हाँ,
All
child abuse सब कुछ कवर. Budgeting. So government should increase budget, especially on that, especially health insurance. I think government is planning 1 lakh insurance for all emergency cases. That will take care of this aspect. Video conferencing or digitalization, at least at district level, that may be in depending upon number of beds. Responsibility can be assigned to those hospitals which have enough resources, so that their time and that
This is for presentation in court. This is purely for
for
legal procedure.
for that purpose. The circular, mandatory circular from Child Welfare Committee to every hospital authority, so that they will be aware. Then workshop, continued medical education workshop or CME on this aspect at different levels, especially for doctors because they are the first contact persons. And digitalization of reporting or use of IT for this purpose. So again, many court has given direction. Even postmortem report is not on software, so automatically the moment you complete your report, it will be sent to the
auditing also, that we need
and
auditing
social
also.
auditing. Yes,
Social auditing also, and sensitization also, where we can
social
use-
auditing and periodic review.
Periodic review. And then sensitization, like sir suggested for the advertisement, for the awareness.
वो इसमें शायद खबर है कि मतलब उसको ये इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं है, इसको हम कर सकते
Or proper guidelines for screening tools हमारे
हैं.
लिए.
स्क्रीनिंग टूल्स, आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से उसमें देखिएगा, उसमें है सारा जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की है ना 2012 की गाइडलाइंस, उसमें सारा दे रखा, प्रोफार्मा भी है, सारी चेकलिस्ट बनी हुई है, डायग्राम भी बने हुए हैं, वो जो फ्री डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. नहीं हो तो मेरे से कॉपी ले लीजिए उसकी. वो है WHO का है, उसी को अडॉप्ट करके उन्होंने थोड़ा मॉडिफाई कस्टमाइज किया. मेडिकल मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर गाइडलाइंस ऑन सेक्सुअल ऑफेंस रिपोर्टिंग और 2012 से
No, that is,
That goes
that
screening.
specifically talk about child sexual abuse.
that
It's
one
only
chapter is
sexual abuse.
dedicated to that. In
I
that
don't think they are very comprehensive. It is broadly for
they
rape,
have
assault
adopted
victim,
from WHO. So you just
post-exposure prophylaxis, etc. There are no
So
dedicated
let's just point
Screening.
let's see.
screening tool
Screening
for
tool is-
child sexual assault.
And increasing resources for public hospitals for this. Research.
वो बजट में कवर हो गया है. बहुत से
So
क्लब करने
इसमें
पड़ेंगे ना ये लिस्ट
awareness
को.
में we can also add, like you said, we can get circulars from CWC.
वो हो गया ना.
वो लिख
So,
लो.
Yeah,
from
ठीक है.
कोई एडिशनल पॉइंट मिस हो रहा हो आपको बताओ.
So the the objection regarding punishment of doctors.
हाँ सर
मैं लिख देता हूँ पर लीगल स्टैंडिंग इसकी कुछ भी नहीं है।
We should raise the objection. Just like PCP entity.
क्योंकि लिखने का मतलब ये नहीं लॉ बन गया।
नहीं, it is that we have raised the
Suggestion
objection.
document.
आपने अगर वो गुड स्मैरिटन वाला पढ़ा है ना, यही चीज है कवर। कि आप
No,
अगर
sir, but the
पुलिस को
doctors
नहीं
are
इन्फॉर्म
saying-
करोगे तो भी मतलब आप पे एक्शन नहीं होगा।
Sir, but if doctors are saying we must write this.
Our objection is that there should be objection regarding that the doctor should not be penalized for missing the reporting or delaying reporting. Sometimes there is delayed reporting.
वो
We come to know after
करता
1
है,
day.
वो कंसीडर करता है कि आप दूसरे पेशेंट में बिजी थे, that is why there is a good
Think sometimes the patient reveals after 6 hours.
So वो तो यहाँ पे तो आपकी एक्सपर्टाइज काम आएगी ना कि आप कैसे निकालते हो।
What you are saying is true, but that's what we were saying. कि Actually, the doctor should be penalized
Please
only
present
after
the-
the inquiry is being
What
done.
is-
Thorough inquiry is done and that
Parliament
it is
has
found that it was the
Here-
doctor's
here,
fault.
What is the next step?
After this, I think
नहीं प्रोग्राम का
ये रिकमेंडेशन हम लोग इनको दे देंगे IML की जो सेंट्रल बॉडी है। अल्टीमेटली आई थिंक 17 को अनदर कन्वेंशन इन दिल्ली, वहाँ से गवर्नमेंट की अथॉरिटीज भी आई हैं।
You will present the recommendation on 17.
इसको लास्ट टाइम जो हुआ था वो मैं बता सकता हूँ, एक वाइट पेपर टाइप का ऑल इश्यूज, ऑल दीज ब्रेकअवे सेशन इन अल्टीमेटली सम कंसोलिडेटिंग प्लेनरी सेशन, फिर वहाँ से कंसोलिडेट होकर एक बुक फॉर्म में ये रिकमेंडेशन को गवर्नमेंट
गवर्नमेंट को
अथॉरिटी
17
है,
तारीख को उसके बाद
फिर वो फॉलो
गवर्नमेंट तो 17 को नहीं जाएगा।
नहीं 17 को तो
एक और राउंड ऑफ डिस्कशन दिल्ली में होगा।
अच्छा
Just like this sessions are will be conducted in Delhi. Then they will assimilate all this information from.
बिकॉज जैसे हम मैं ऑब्जेक्शन कर रहा हूँ कि ये किसकी लीगल नहीं है, ऐसे और लोग
Present
हैं।
right shape of the
But the
doctor.
thing is, when
And
we
then-
object about punishment of doctors, it will spread to all of them and all the doctors will take the interest कि किसमें objection लगा रहे हैं, कि कहाँ हमें punishment मिल रहा था जिसको ये रोकना चाहते हैं। They will take the interest and that will generate the awareness. अगर हम बोलेंगे punishment तो जानते हैं हर चीज में punishment देते हैं, तो कुछ भी काम करते हैं, तो अभी इसमें यहाँ पे बात ही हो रही है, हम we are trying to protect the doctors from punishment, just like PCP entity.
We should try
That
to
will
protect
generate
the
the
doctor.
awareness.
We should not try to protect unnecessarily.
Yes, that is very right.
There should be a line. There should be a line.
सर हमारा
यही प्रॉब्लम हुआ। आप बताओ ना कितनी स्टेट मेडिकल काउंसिल एक्शन लेती हैं अनएथिकल एक्ट के लिए, यहाँ से प्रॉब्लम है। और अल्टीमेटली आई हैव स्टडी ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द केसेस डिसाइडेड बाय द कंज्यूमर कोर्ट, वेयर कोर्ट refusing your expert opinion and mentioning especially कि डॉक्टर आर कवरिंग अप, तो आपका जो पावर थी वो आपने लूज कर दी। क्यों? कवर अप करना है। तो कहीं ना कहीं हमें लाइन ड्रॉ करनी है।
100% sir, unless people are held accountable, this will
Yes,
never get
yes,
implemented.
yes.
But whole thing is accountability before proper education and enforcement doesn't happen.
I think doctor cannot
Right.
claim कि they should be
Sir, one thing is
made
that
aware.
when we talk
If
about
they are
negligence-
asking the what about those 9 to 14 years, 8 to 14
No,
years.
sir, very right, but we say when we report about negligence, it is the senior consultant who are sued for this. But when we talk about medical legal issues, either PCP, this reporting, POXO or sexual assault, it is the junior most. The person who
First
has just
contact.
passed out MBBS is to
So that
get
is
the
a qualification and training act कर लिया
and then
आपने।
they caught in these mischievous acts and they come to know what they have done wrong.
आप लोगों में कोई प्राइवेट कॉलेज मेडिकल कॉलेज से है?
है सर
आप लोग शायद उस समय जिस कॉलेजों में अच्छे पोजीशन पे होंगे, अभी ऐसे कॉलेज हैं जो अभी कल परमिशन दी गई है, 95% फैकल्टी नहीं है, उनको परमिशन दे दी गई। वो जब बाहर निकल के आएगा तब आपसे
जो सर
इमेजिन करिए।
जो उसकी परमिशन देना है उस पे तो कोई एक्शन नहीं होता।
तभी तो कह रहे हैं ना, इसीलिए तो मैं कह रहा हूँ,
उस पे action-
इसीलिए तो कह रहा हूँ कि इतने बड़े-बड़े इश्यू पड़े हुए हैं,
It's the
छोटे-छोटे
same
इश्यू पे हम
story of
लोग
Bangalore buildings here.
Thanks for this nice discussion. We spent almost 3 hours and with some good input and sharing information, learning from each other.